to Two Sweet Wrestling Podcast here. We are here with these gentlemen tonight. We got from the Rant and Rave podcast, we have Brandon Martin. We got Chase 2850. We got the Collector of Championships, Double Z TV. And we got JMANzLEGIT. Gentlemen, go ahead and say hello today.
What's up?
I hear voices in my head. They come to me. They understand me. They talk to me.
So much gold in
You hear voices? No.
I wish I didn't hear that voice.
Oh, God.
Yeah, well, there are plenty of other voices you don't want to hear, trust me. And I know a lot of voices that I can't stand to this very day.
I can say the same too. I won't get into names. Ex-girlfriend.
Keep that up. You might have one yourself, an ex-girlfriend.
Oh, I've been having an ex-girlfriend.
Yikes.
Yeah, well, I haven't dated, a girl in like over 9 years. So besides, I'm waiting for my opportunity.
Time will come. Just make sure you're using the right bait.
Actually, I don't have sex before marriage, unlike you.
Well, you gotta go with
throwing shade.
It's like buying a car. You want to test drive it first before you make the purchase.
Hey,
make sure you use your seatbelt.
Hey, every time I'm in a vehicle, I'm in a vehicle, I always wear a seatbelt. So you be quiet.
I'm talking about before you purchase it. You want to test drive it before you purchase it. Same thing as a marriage.
Yeah, and like you, it's safety first.
Damn it! I want to talk about vaginas.
We are, man.
I thought we were talking about cars.
No, I'm
these
saying,
more into the stick shift.
But I'm saying, like, as far as like you saying, you want to wait till marriage, go ahead. But it's the same thing as buying a car. You really want to just buy the car and not test drive it first. Same thing as a woman.
Well,
I mean, it all depends on how many times she's been
tested.
You
went after marriage and you finally see her with her pants off and her vagina looks like the freaking berserker predator. You're gonna say it was worth it?
Yeah, but with your case, it's always going too deep into the Grand Canyon and not following the yellow brick road.
Okay, do I need to start walking out of the room again like I did last week?
No,
son, you be a good boy. I mean,
son?
Jackie's taking care of mommy right now.
Hold up. Last I checked, neither you two are my father, especially you, Ulysses, after the shit you kept saying last week.
I am your father, man.
Then I want to go live with Mom.
No, she knows I'll give you the best advice.
No, I'd be better off living in a fucking dumpster.
I'm your only hope for testosterone, dude.
You're my only hope for frigging infertility.
Just spin your little title and just do as I say.
This argument's making
my spinner is actually made of gold. Yours looks cheap shit.
This back and forth is making me flaccid.
Motherfucker. Cheap shit. Say no cheap shit.
Hey,
I wish these were cheap to buy.
This is perfect.
Perfect start to the stream.
This is perfect. I mean, you gotta get a little feisty.
Is there version 1 or version 2 though?
We already went over this off air.
No, that was your undisputed. I'm talking about your spinner.
Last I checked, there's only one version.
No, there's the version 1 has the Monday Night Raw side plate, and then the version 2 has 2 WWE Champ side plates.
Yeah, mine says Monday Night.
Okay, that's version 1.
No, it says it says Mon Night.
Yeah.
It says Mon Night, not Monday Night.
Yeah.
I'm saying the version 2 is actually more gold looking than the version 1.
Hey, what if it was called Nun Night?
Oh Christ! Then nobody would fucking buy it.
No, nobody would.
Buy the thing spins.
But a nun would.
Maybe. What's up, chat? How's everyone doing tonight?
Got Jason in here. Got the Wrestling Snowman.
Yep, Irish Reviews, Wrestling Snowman. We got Chris James T. What's going on, Chris?
There's some other people watching as well. We do have it on subscriber mode only, but if you subscribe, you'll be able to start commenting within the next 20 minutes.
Unless
what's up, fan of YouTube?
For 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, the very same guy that was messing with us last week during the GTA stream.
Yeah, right.
I'm gonna get my revenge on him at some point. I'm making that my damn mission after last week.
We got mods in the stream.
No, for GTA. We were playing GTA Online.
Yeah, last week, myself and JC were playing GTA Online. My ex-girlfriend Raven starts coming in. Then all of a sudden, we get this random guy jumping into our stream on Xbox One and starts attacking the shit out of us. And then after checking the profile and checking a certain voice message, we realized it was a fan of YouTube behind the account freaking attacking us.
Wait, Fanny YouTube was attacking you?
Yeah, I didn't know he
Yeah.
was even on Xbox or even played GTA on there. He got into our session, started attacking us. That's all from last week's stream.
Hey, what's up, David?
Fanny YouTube, what the hell?
Like, I didn't know it was him until my ex read his profile. Then I checked there and I realized, oh shit, I know who that is. Then he played a freaking voice message to my inbox on Xbox Live. I'm like, son of a bitch, I fucking knew it.
And then we died.
Once I'm out of the bad sport lobby, you can try to get your revenge. How
did he get into a freaking bad sport lobby? Like, who'd he piss off?
Mugger after me first. How dare you, Zach?
Hey, he was freaking surfing around like freaking watching us while we were in our yacht.
Assuming your yacht's still intact.
And here I thought I caused trouble.
You do.
Interesting story. All right.
No, that's the other guy. I don't know what you're talking about.
Which guy?
Well, you look like a saint.
Exactly, which guy?
Yeah, there's a lot of us in here.
No, I'm talking like one. No, he got it right. It's which guy? The one. He flies on his broom every now and then from Connecticut to New Hampshire.
We got quite a few things to talk about before we do. I mean, Double Z, does my stuff really look like cheap shit?
Yeah, you look like cheap shit. Look at that freaking WWE championship. It looks like one that you freaking buy from some manufacturer out in the Middle East.
Hey,
Oh, you mean a Pakistani belt? A Fandu?
No, Fandu is actually made of good material. The freaking one from Pakistan, that's cheap shit, like very thin metal.
Yeah, do not buy any belts from Pakistan if you go on eBay. Do not. No Pakistan belts.
Brandon's
Or
just
any
sitting there. He's like, what did I get
people
myself
belts.
into?
Like every time I'm on Facebook, I get these people freaking messaging me all the damn time saying, "Oh, we manufacture belts.
Hey,
we can
wait
sell them to you." Like, why would I want to buy cheap shit? I got the official belts, like freaking flooding my basement right now.
But also, people need to realize if you buy a belt on eBay, make sure it's not from Pakistan. It may look so good or whatever for like $300 or whatever, but if it's from Pakistan, don't trust it. It's not what it is.
Yeah. Just like you should never trust anybody or anybody at all.
I'd rather trust a stranger with a white van trying to sell me candy.
Yeah, and then what'll that lend you?
It'll get me candy.
Oh, he'll give you candy, but then he'll give you more candy and not the ones you think.
A sour lollipop?
He might give you a couple of jobs.
They'll give you a lollipop, but it won't be sour.
I don't want to.
Now it would have protein in it.
Oh God.
Oh God.
Okay, that's a little too much.
Yeah, it's too much.
But did you guys see Dark Side of the Ring episode?
Yeah.
I have. I did earlier this morning, and let me tell you, my eyes are a little bit more open now than they should be because I did not expect more than one thing on that episode that was just bizarre. Like, for example, I feel like there was more truth now into the Dark Side of the Ring regarding the fight between Kurt Hennig and Brock Lesnar. And then there's the whole, Ric Flair, debacle. I mean, like, well, now I know the meaning of the phrase helicopter spin. And then you have Scott Hall, in his little, in the mess he's in, where it comes to either doing drugs or alcohol. X-Pac being a dick, cutting off someone else's ponytail out of nowhere. And also putting it in a sandwich bag and taping it to a door, again, like a dick. And then there was, so much stuff that was just very emotional in some cases. I feel extremely bad for the flight attendant that was part of that, plane ride from hell.
But for over the years, we mostly heard about the Brock Lesnar and Kurt Hennig thing, but not really any of this other stuff.
Well, I heard this stuff before because if you go on YouTube, there's an interview. Just look up Just Incredible Plane Ride from Hell. There is a video somebody posted like years ago where he goes into a good amount of detail about everything, like mentioned the X-Pac thing and Ric Flair. I heard about the whole thing with Dustin Runnels singing on the PA system. I don't remember, with Ric Flair, I know they mentioned him being naked under the robe. I don't remember the thing with the flight attendant. Mentioned X-Pac cutting off Michael Hayes' freaking mullet, even though everybody hates Michael Hayes anyway. The fight and all that shit.
Yeah, I was really like when I was watching it, I'm like, yo, this whole thing is bizarre because it's like you're hearing a lot of everyone's interpretation from that. You're hearing the flight attendant You're hearing some of the backstage crew, and like I found it funny that there was some moments in there where they say that this person wasn't able to be reached to confirm this story, or like the situation with Brock Lesnar where they said that Brock still hasn't acknowledged what went down or something like that. So it's just like it's funny because again, you're hearing different aspects from everywhere, and that thing with Ric Flair, like I always knew Ric Flair was like let's just put it this way, he's a chauvinist pig. You know what I mean? Even though that I mean,
He was a wild one.
Yeah, he was definitely wild, and for what he did and made that woman touch his genitalia was just appalling. Like I wonder if like someone made a comment about it.
But could you say that was him, or he was just he drunk a little too much? Because they talked about the amount of alcohol in 747.
Who knows? He could have drunk. He could have been drunk off his ass. I do know that someone said that maybe that's the reason why WWE decided not to continue having Flair on the program, because of the situation that they knew that maybe this was going to come out eventually, and that's why they kind of like decided to cut ties with Flair now.
But that happened like 20 years ago. 19, 20
Yeah,
years
I have to agree. I mean, like 20 years is a very long time, and plus Flair.
Things were more crazy back then. Come on, like back then it was the steroids, the coke, the freaking all this stuff, the party.
Yeah,
and
plus wrestlers have been known to do this kind of stuff even before the 2000s hit. So this really isn't really much of a surprise or anything. I mean, what Ric Flair did. I mean, like I'll admit, Ric Flair is no saint. But then again, once you're like a little bit coked up or drunk or whatever, you're bound to do anything.
It wasn't just
like you'll be doing a lot of stuff, like say showing your genitalia, or punch somebody in the face, or maybe even urinate on the floor for no apparent reason, like a freaking animal in your house, not potty trained. I mean, like there's a tons of stuff that anybody could do if once alcohol can get into you. Plus, they were up like what? 3,000 feet in the air, I believe.
Yes.
So that is all. Plus, alcohol can do a lot of things to you, in regards to gravity,
Yeah, but still, I mean, like I said, it's not just alcohol, but people were on drugs, like wrestlers on painkillers.
I know. I'm just pointing out some things, that actually make sense. Because
wrestlers back then, or even the 80s, I mean, not just on planes, but even in the locker room, they'll come out of the shower naked or do crazy stuff, go through people's bags. It's crazy shit. I mean, they're adults; they should act like adults, I guess. But no, it's still a childish mindset, especially if you're hopped on stuff.
I agree. I agree with that. Even though Ric Flair did something wrong 20 years ago, we shouldn't take away his accomplishments in the sport of professional wrestling.
There's no one taking away his accomplishments. I just think that no one's taking away anything from him. I mean, he's a legend in this business.
Oh,
yeah. But I think I just find it funny that WWE cut ties with him, and then a couple of months later, the Dark Side of the Ring came out. So like, it was almost like WWE kind of knew that shit was going to hit the fan once this came out. So I think that's why they maybe decided to cut the ties with him. But I mean, again, it's like I said, we're not taking. So it's like no one's taking anything away from Ric Flair. You can't take anything away from the guy. I mean, you can't take away anything from anyone.
But what Ric Flair did was messed up. The whole flight was messed up, and who knows who was drunk or whatever. I'm pretty sure Ric Flair had to have apologized.
There's also another matter that also happened this week. I mean, you can take the comment down if you want. The other thing that also popped up, and I found this out yesterday, was that Tommy Dreamer had been suspended indefinitely by Impact Wrestling due to his comments from Dark Side of the Ring. And I listened to Dark Side of the Ring earlier this morning, and I was in my head thinking, what did he say wrong that clearly wasn't anything offensive or nothing? I mean, it's like as if cancel culture wants to ruin us, like, regards to professional wrestling fans of our intelligence, and not let us be showcase stories. And it's like it's too political for anyone to be overworked over one story that happened 20 years ago. This is 20 years ago, not happening recent.
Hold on, guys. Brandon, do you have anything you want to weigh in on? I know we've been talking, and he's been sitting there, so anything?
Well, although I haven't seen it, but I will check it out after the show. But for this, with the Tommy Dreamer incident that happened, I'll say this. Oh man. I mean, good gosh. I mean, and I've seen, with my good friend Jerome, I knew, he would oh gosh, what do you call it? And I know he posted. I mean, I have no idea, but it's just
He was posting he was giving his comments regarding that, about Tommy
Oh,
Dreamer.
yeah.
Suspension shouldn't even be affected at all.
Tommy Dreamer didn't bash Ric Flair at all.
Well, I think the reason why he came under fire was because he made that comment about saying that people get offended and comparing what Ric Flair did, people being offended by that compared to him having that double ponytail or whatever was going on. I think that's what people said they were getting pissed off about, him making that comparison. But it's that just shows people are being offended by a comparison he made about people being offended. So people are still finding something to be offended about, in the long run. I think that's what kind of got people stirred up for some reason.
Hey, what's going on, Miguel? Welcome to the stream, buddy.
Plus, Tommy Dreamer, I mean, he is entitled to give his opinion, and free speech, and that's what Dark Side of the Ring is all about.
But the problem is, you try to give your opinion or anything, people are going to scream because people can't handle opinions no matter what.
Speaking of which, hey, Joe, did you see that comment I put on your post earlier? For the link.
I saw it. I was trying to figure out what that was about.
It's basically my point of view of the smarks, that get overly offended over what the topic of this episode's all about. It's like those of cancel culture. They get so easily offended over the smallest of things, and then they go whine and bitch about it. And I'm for one of the ones that would say, just sit down, shut your mouth, and do exactly as you're told by Vince McMahon, and get on your knees, and open your mouth.
Well, and the thing is too is when I originally made this stream, I was like WWE sucks, but I was then I went back and I changed it, and for some reason it didn't save. But I'm a loyal WWE guy to the core. I've been a fan since '91, and I'm always going to be faithful. I'm gonna have in this video. I am going to give my take on everything. I'm not going to hold anything back. I am going to be brutally honest. And I'm going to talk about the stuff that I don't like and the stuff I do like. So I don't know if you guys want to go ahead and you want to start, you guys want to start getting into some of the topics, because I know we got a lot of them.
I got 11 changes that WWE needs, and I just wrote this down before I came on here.
All right.
And I mean, it's a long one. So so if you
there's this picture help with the subject.
Oh God.
Yes, it would.
Estrogen in cows.
But either way, but I don't have to go first unless you want somebody else to. Or I can go through this right now and give my point across.
All right. Well, we're gonna start off with the juiciest of juicies.
By all means.
Because I think this is the biggest issue. So I think I'm just gonna give my thoughts on everything, and then you guys could give your thoughts if that's how you want to do it. But me personally, I think Vince McMahon is afraid to take fucking chances with anything, because he's constantly criticizing his creative team, and how I say he always criticizes and he's undermining the creative team is case in point. Look at Bray Wyatt and look at the Fiend character. The Fiend was supposed to be treated as a demon character like Finn Balor, where he would have a high profile match and the Fiend would come out. When Vince saw that the Fiend got over so quickly, not just because it was Bray Wyatt, but because of the character, the music, the way the guy looked, the way the mask and everything, his whole appearance looked. And as soon as he saw the shirts moving, he oversaturated the market with the Fiend. It was Fiend every night, It was whether it was a match or he was just making appearances on Raw or SmackDown. Then you had the pay-per-view matches. Then we had his championship run, and I honestly believe in my mind, I think that's what killed Bray Wyatt's career last final days in WWE, because they took something and they shoved it down our throats, something that could have been special and drawn out, and they shoved it down our throats and pretty much basically ruined it. And now we don't even have Bray Wyatt in the WWE anymore, because outside of the Fiend, that was his last shot as far as anything.
You're saying the Fiend was shoved down our throats, you would say?
Yes, because it was basically what I'm saying is, like, if you go back and you watch from the very first night that the Fiend debuted all the way until the demise of the character, it was constantly being shoved down our throats, with the exception of the last couple of months, because they were working the storyline with Alexa Bliss, which they were doing great about. But now, what's the purpose of Alexa's character if there's no Fiend to counteract it? And it always seems WWE Vince has always had his finger in every little thing. Instead of just sitting back and letting the creative team come up with the ideas and giving things a chance and letting things play out, he's like, no, that's not going to work. No, it's got to be this way. And then when we get the final product, we're like, like, what is this? Like, and it's not just me thinking. It's like there's a lot of people out there that are just like that.
Did he leave anything else after he lost to Goldberg? After he lost the title to Goldberg?
After Bray Wyatt lost, or the Fiend lost the title to Goldberg, he had that feud with Randy Orton, and then he was still like, that feud was still going on, but then they were building the Alexa Bliss character, and then after the Alexa Bliss character just took off, they kind of like killed the momentum with the Fiend, and the next thing you know, he was gone. And then you hear a couple of weeks later, Bray Wyatt released from the WWE. WWE wishes Bray Wyatt everything in his future endeavors. I'm like, yo, like, wait, what? Like, that's another topic we're going to get into later, is the WWE releases, because there's a lot of them, and I didn't realize how many there were.
I thought 2014 was bad.
Yeah, no, there was like 60 wrestlers released between Performance Center, NXT, the main roster, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, they had NXT. There was a couple from NXT UK, which I was really surprised. But now they don't want to keep anyone over 30. They want all fresh talent, but they completely went and cut a lot of the talent that was. They went and cut the talent that could have been the future of the business.
They don't want wrestlers over 30, but yet they're going to keep guys like Goldberg or Brock Lesnar to be in the main event picture.
Bobby Lashley.
Exactly.
Bobby Lashley. That's like. There's also Rey Mysterio too. I mean, like, that's kind of like hypocritical for the company's part if they're going to keep, if they don't want anyone over 30.
Yeah, it's like.
But do you think though? Hold on. Do you think though that they release some wrestlers to help pay the part timers, because the part timers are getting quite a bit of money, like Cena, Lesnar, and
actually they are too much to count.
Lesnar at least $5 million. I know he ain't going to take less than $5 million if he was making that before. He was making $5 million a year before, so I doubt he's taking less.
Yeah, they are. I mean, I don't think Goldberg, Lesnar, Cena, those three right there is going to take a lot of money for them to come back. Even though Cena has never been about the money, he's always been about the entertainment of the fans.
He's never been about the money?
No, Cena. I mean, Cena has taken money, yes, but I'm saying though, like, he doesn't get in the ring for the money. He gets in the ring for the fans.
I think he's
what I'm saying.
To promote his movie.
That too. Both of them. But again, like I said, I think I agree with Nick. He says it right here. He goes, Vince needs to step down. I honestly agree with that. I think Vince definitely needs to sit the fuck down, and he needs to go ahead and let his day-to-day run the company, because having him in there is definitely one of many reasons why the WWE is failing right now. Outside of Roman Reigns, what is hot about the WWE right now outside of Roman Reigns? There's not really much.
Nothing except for that, that surprising title win from Big E this past Monday on Raw.
Do you think they kind of made a mistake, though, for Big E to tell everybody that he was going to cash it in that night? Because the Raw's ratings were lower than even Monday Night Football.
I believe so, because obviously, if you're going to do a cash in, do it and make it a surprise. Like, let's look back at 2013, the night after WrestleMania 29. Dolph Ziggler cashing in his briefcase on Alberto Del Rio for the World Heavyweight title.
People were really happy about that.
They were, yeah, and it was, and that was the night after WrestleMania 29. And that was a moment that is like still, memorable to this very day, and one of Dolph Ziggler's greatest, accomplishments. Even though he never won a world title like by, the right means, but at the same time, that's what Money in the Bank was always for. Now, as far as Big E goes, I mean, I'm really happy with the fact that he won the title. It's
for sure, me too.
But just the way how he's announcing it is just taking the surprise advantage out the window. And and plus, even if they do something with him, they better not screw it up like they did with Kofi, because this is a big opportunity, and they better not tarnish it, or otherwise Big E's run will be over even before it begins.
Yeah, I'd probably have to say I'm in agreement with you, Jay. And this is the thing, is Bobby Lashley versus Big E. The feud could have started at Money in the Bank. Hands down, could have started at Money in the Bank. Lashley destroyed Kofi. Kofi had zero offense in that whole match.
I noticed that too.
Depending on, I can't remember if the Bobby Lashley match was before the Money in the Bank ladder match or after. But if the Bobby Lashley match was after the Money in the Bank match, Big E could have cashed in right there as a big FU to, yo, you're going to beat the holy hell out of my friend. I'm taking your title. Or he could have came out on Monday Night Raw the next night and cashed in. But no, what did WWE do? They gave us Goldberg versus Lashley for SummerSlam.
And you have Lashley manhandling a minor.
That too. Then it doesn't even stop there. You could have had Big E cash in that night in Las Vegas. The crowd would have fucking erupted and popped bigger than anything. And then what do they do? A couple of weeks later, they have him announce it on Twitter that he's going to cash in Money in the Bank and win and on Raw. It's
like a spoiler alert, just giving it out before the movie has a chance to play, and and your opportunity to watch a surprising moment in the movie has been ruined.
Yeah, and then you have so basically with Big E winning the championship, that match at SummerSlam was a moot point. There was no revenge or any there was nothing to come out of Lashley destroying Kofi from retaliation from Big E. So it's just like, what was the Goldberg-Lashley match worth? Because you also had Goldberg come out and cut a promo. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was on Twitter. Or I think it might have been on, and they showed it on as a backstage segment, or I think it might have happened on Monday Night Raw. You had Goldberg cut a promo, to set up a potential second match, and now Big E's champion. So that goes in that. So you spent all that money to get Goldberg to come back at SummerSlam just for him to lose, and now you took away the wow factor out of Big E's cash-in.
Yeah,
we'll see what they
pretty much sums it up to a T, or an E if you're Big E, of course.
Another thing, though, we already know about the Triple H heart attack thing or the cardiac arrest.
Yes, yeah. I hope Speedy. I wish Triple H the best. He's one of my favorites.
And just so we're clear, I see a comment that says Vince should just step down. I agree with that, and Triple H should.
Hey, Fernando, what's up?
I strongly disagree with the second part, because Triple H, when it comes down to him, he knows how to create and keep a ball going for other future wrestlers. And NXT, before Vince and Bruce took it over, Triple H had a system going, and it was great. But however, the ball stopped once Vince, took over everything,
Yep.
wanted to go to war with AEW for Dynamite, and he always said AEW's not competition. Bull crap, because after all, there's a lot of big stars that were either in the WWE on Raw, SmackDown, or NXT now jumping ship to AEW, and they know how to get treated right. So if Triple H was in charge of the product, I think it'd be a smooth sailing ship.
Oh, for sure. Brandon, do you have anything you want to add?
Vince, he needs to go to a nursing home. He needs to.
With Triple H?
No,
Vince. You numb nuts.
Yeah, but still, and plus, to not go off topic on this one, this is going to be a little bit off topic. This is the one with the list of banned words that is updated.
Oh, yeah. Do you want to read off the banned words they did this week?
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm going to read this all that,
This is going to be fun. I'm gonna try and find the nearest bottle of something and then just get pass out.
Yeah. One is wrestling. Can't say that.
Well, yeah, I kind of figured that. Wrestling and wrestler, probably.
Yep, that too. You can't say belt. You can't say blood. You can't say choke. You cannot say diva. Strap. Although they had total divas on there, but now you can't really say that. Morons. Kayfabe is another one. Mofos. Headshot. Trauma. DQ.
Dairy Queen?
Why can't you say Dairy Queen?
Oh yeah, that. Jim
Speaking of which,
Cornette,
I'm gonna get somebody to give me Dairy Queen.
Damn it! None of you can say Dairy Queen. We don't promote them.
It's like the one thing you can't do is you can't come out here and thank Vince McMahon. like
Oh yeah, the Hall of Fame crap.
I don't get it. Like, okay, so what are we supposed to come out with? So what are they supposed to come out Tuesday? I'm a entertainer. Like, it doesn't hit. I'm a pro wrestler. That hits.
Actually, the more terminology is superstar.
Oh yeah.
But I will say this though: anybody who ever chants "Thank you, Vince," I don't know you. I really do not know who you are anymore.
I just know if Jim Cornette cover comes back to WWE, I'm gonna chant Dairy Queen. I don't care.
Oh God!
Oh God, we have to talk about that as a topic.
Just wait till he gets pissed off at somebody at a drive-through window. Then it all makes sense.
Yeah.
Dairy Queen or chant like we want Russo.
So I want to take this time ask the chat. Do you guys think the WWE would be better if Vince McMahon would let his creative run the day-to-day? I mean, yeah, we want to have obviously they're going to have someone there overseeing everything, but do you think if Vince would let his creative team rock with the ideas that they have, do you think that the overall product that we get that makes the TV would be better?
While you guys are doing that, is there more banned words?
Oh yeah. We got the anti-diva.
Which I've never heard them use the word anti-diva.
Well, Paige.
I think that was used to describe AJ Lee back in the day.
I thought it was Paige.
Oh, I thought hot was the word that was.
Just one of the two.
Used. I thought hot was the word that they used to describe AJ, but okay.
That
ain't a bad word.
Can't say the word shit.
Shit.
Yeah, well, that's true, but unfortunately, that's definitely not on the list.
I know Brock said he doesn't.
That's good shit.
Contradiction. They did it last year. WrestleMania 36 night 2.
Oh yeah.
What?
They said they said that word you just said.
What word?
That and Brock Lesnar said to what's his name? What's that redheaded guy's again? I forget his name.
Heath Slater.
Yeah, he said like, "Oh, I don't give a shit."
I don't give a shit about your kids.
Yeah, that was funny.
But Yeah, they said at WrestleMania 36 last year during when Cena was doing his entrance, pretending to be part of the NWO, he had that Vince puppet saying, "It's such good shit." It's still uncensored.
WWE just needs to get out of the PG thing and go back to being PG-13.
Yeah, but the problem is you still got the sponsors and everything that pay for that family-friendly product. So it's like they'd be risking losing money because of the deals they have.
There's some new sponsors. There's some other good sponsors that have covered. Come on.
Yeah, but you got sponsors nowadays that are such snowflakes. Look what happened here on YouTube with all the advertisers and everything. Just because things got a little too raunchy on the website, they friggin' run.
That was Peter's fault.
So I honestly think that we're in for quite a few more years of Vince McMahon's WWE before we get anywhere, because obviously you know that the company's going to probably be taken over if there's anything left after Vince steps away.
I think
to Triple H and Stephanie and Shane. It's gonna be either one of those guys are gonna be the owner of the company. If not, unless he leaves it to his grandkids, which I don't know. I don't see that happening. But I have a feeling that we're gonna be on a downward spiral for several more years before Vince decides, like, you know what, I'm gonna step away.
But anyway, Brandon, is there more banned words?
Yes. Spinal injuries.
My spine hurts.
My spine hurts from watching Raw.
Wait on. What was the next one?
Victim.
Victim?
Yes.
So you can't say Bobby Lashley's going to have Finn Balor as his next victim.
I will be surprised
that's Roman's about to do that.
Yeah.
No, Roman's is I'm going to smash you.
Acknowledge me.
Acknowledge me.
We acknowledge you. You can't pass a drug test.
But CM Punk can.
Obviously.
Yeah, basically. You can't say violence/violent.
So that pretty much cuts out everything Paul Heyman's ever going to say in the next future.
Probably so, there, JC. And then this one's a no surprise. WWF.
Well, yeah.
And yet Vince said it last year at Survivor Series.
Yeah, so there you go.
That's when you know he's pretty much losing his mind.
Oh, he lost that a long time ago.
Yeah. Go. I mean, this guy wanted to have a storyline where his pregnant daughter was pregnant with his child.
With Vince's child?
Yeah, if you watch the Vince McMahon DVD that came out years ago, in that DVD, when Stephanie and Triple H told Vince that she was pregnant for the first time, he turned around and he wanted to make it into a storyline where that she was pregnant with his child.
That should be my kid, damn it.
Yeah, well,
let me tell
you guys realize that, and Vince, it's a good thing they backed away from that kind of storyline, because if they promote and support incest, then the audience would drop.
They would still have fans like Brian and whatnot. So,
yeah, that pertains to his demographic.
Either way, is there more banned words?
Yes. This one, wife beater.
So we can't reference Stone Cold?
Probably not.
Oh,
that was referenced this past Thursday.
Do you think they're going to make a Dark Side of the Ring of that with Austin and the whole thing that happened with Deborah?
Probably not.
Either that or Stone Cold's, walkout.
Did you guys remember back then? Like, did you guys ever watch the news back then when that whole thing happened? Where they tried to talk to Stone Cold and he was driving and he was flipping people off, and then the whole thing of the steroid thing, and also putting a gun to Deborah's head and all that shit. And she'd be crying outside on the sidewalk waiting for the cops with all the bruises on her back.
Yeah, I didn't see any of that.
I didn't hear about the gun part.
I was like, 10 years old. Well, no, Deborah talked about it later on the gun part during the Christmas.
Like I heard about the steroids part because she mentioned it on the news once, but I didn't hear about the gun part.
She talked about that during the Chris Benoit thing. About how apparently Steve would put a gun to her head because she had people over.
Chris Ben who?
Yeah.
Chris who?
Error
Speaking of
404.
which, I heard some rumors that that Chris Benoit may be getting unbanned. I don't really know.
No,
if they're true.
don't believe that. Don't believe that. It's utter BS.
I won't
Well,
believe it. I'm not
It's
against
been
it.
almost 15 years of them keeping him out of history. They're not going to suddenly change the stance no matter what.
I mean,
Unless
they
he
already
finds out there
banned
was
his son from the WWE because he went to fucking an AEW pay per view. It was chilling backstage. Like, really? That I mean, he goes to a
Did he get banned?
wrestling. Yeah, WWE banned Chris Benoit's son from
David,
ever
yeah.
attending. Yeah, David. They banned David from ever attending a live show and or hanging out backstage or ever working for the WWE.
just for wearing an AEW jacket?
No, he was wearing an AEW jacket while at an AEW show.
Yeah, remember they showed that during the Dark Side of the
So
Ring
what?
12 episode with Chris Benoit when he was backstage or watching the show with his aunt.
It's like wearing an Impact Wrestling T-shirt at a WWE event. What's the big deal?
Oh yeah, now they want to. Now
They
they
don't want to
don't.
promote
They're
like
not
these other
allowing.
brands with competition.
They're not allowing anyone into the shows
Oh,
with AEW's merch.
no, Ulysses. Remember, there is no competition with Vince. There's no competition.
Right?
Yeah, and then when you Vince, wake up and smell the Folgers crystals, brother. You lost Daniel Bryan, Adam Cole, CM Punk. Well, CM Punk was never going back to WWE, but still,
Chris,
7
Those
years is
three-
a long time.
those three right there could have done something for your company, and you lost them.
what about Bray Wyatt and Braun Strowman?
Braun Strowman, yeah.
Until he
Bray
jumps
Wyatt.
and Bray Wyatt, until they jump to AEW, then you realize the beginning of the end is coming to Vince McMahon. But before we keep going on, is there more banned words?
Yes, the one with Seth Rollins' finishing move, curb stomp.
Didn't they ban that and then they brought it back and now they're banning it again?
Yeah,
No, they're just calling it the stomp.
now you can't say it anymore.
Like, I thought, wasn't curb stomp also the name of Paul Burchill's finisher where he had kind of like that surfboard and then shoved their head, like, foot right down on their head back in ECW?
I think so.
I think he had, like, some kind of move like that called the curb stomp, but like a different move.
Is there more?
Strangle.
That's the same as choking.
Yeah.
Double entendre.
Vince loves the word strangle, or at least he used to. He loved doing it.
Fucking hell. Kill. That's another one.
The crowd could still chant that word, kill, kill, kill.
Murder.
The crowd could still chant that too. Murder.
Murder him!
And then this is the second time they put it on their list. Again, kayfabe.
Wait, they put it on twice?
Yeah, I'm not joking. My gosh. And now you can't say house show.
Well, they haven't called it a house show in a long time, though. They're always live events,
Oh,
I think,
yeah.
right? They haven't really called them house shows.
Still
in a
the
long-
same thing.
Yeah, let's guess. Yeah, true.
Anything else?
And again, and twice on this one. DQ again.
I want to know who makes up this list.
It's Vince.
He's losing his mind.
Again, he lost it a
Well,
long
hey, don't
time
sugarcoat.
ago.
No, don't sugarcoat it. Tell us how he did it. I mean, how did he lose his mind?
Too many shots to the head. He's taking one too many pills. Guys are like
Alzheimer's.
mid-70s. The last time he was on WWE television, all he did was come out really slowly and then say, "Where the hell have you been?" and then walks back. That's it.
Yeah.
That was funny though.
So I just put it up on the screen. It was lost Adam Cole because he wanted to stream on Twitch. That's somewhat true.
Okay, half of that's true and half of that's false. The half true part is that because WWE has this policy where you cannot be streaming, independently, like, say like Miro, for instance, on Twitch, or maybe, Paige would want to do on Twitch. Now, that is one thing, but the other half false statement with that is that Adam Cole only left for another reason, and that was because his significant other, and maybe hopefully he'll be a world champion alongside her, and that is Britt Baker.
Yeah, because there's actually, I was reading an article a couple of days ago, and it says that I think I shared it in the group actually. It says the government upset with Vince McMahon or with the WWE.
Oh yeah, there was something like that. Apparently,
how many times has the government not been mad at Vince McMahon?
Well, this is because he labels his wrestlers or his talent, entertainers. He labels them as independent contractors. So if they're legit independent contractors, then what they do outside of the WWE should not be an issue. For example, if Adam Cole wants to stream, he should be able to stream because he's not using Adam Cole. He's using the nickname.
Plus, there's another issue too. Like the way how that sounds for them to be independently contracted, that is also,
a way for them to get out of
itself.
Yeah, and so they don't have to pay for medical.
And on top of that, if you're like showcasing hypocrisy and not letting your independent contractors do what they do, then that is a form of dictatorship.
Exactly.
Hold on, if I'm a wrestler, I'm a superstar, I can go on Twitch and I can stream Spider-Man or something, even if my username is Nutsack1964 or whatever. I mean, come on.
They won't allow it.
Name. I'll just call myself that or something.
See, the
no. The name would be Penis Breath 205.
Penis Breath 90210. How about that?
So I think, honestly, in all actuality, the WWE guys, the talent was streaming during the pandemic in their spare time just to make a little extra money. A lot of them weren't using their WWE handles. The only person that was remotely using any of her WWE handles was Paige, because if you subscribed to her or followed her, a picture of her would pop up with the Paige entrance music. When she'd get a donation, the same thing. All of her alerts were WWE themed. So the fact is that she was using that, even though that her name wasn't Paige, her channels weren't Paige. She was still using it.
But she was still currently contracted with the company, and I don't think they should have been, too affected by that.
Yeah. So I don't understand why it's such a big deal for these guys to do it in their spare time. I mean,
I forgot to mention this. I hate to cut you off. The other reason why Adam Cole left was because, once they were going to bring him to the main roster, they were going to make him a manager to, freaking Keith Lee.
Yeah.
He said in an interview that he never heard anything about that himself.
That's what they were planning, apparently. But
well, you got to remember who said that. Dave Meltzer. You can't trust that fucker.
But it's also anything else that's going to judge people what they do outside of WWE. You can't just, other than streaming. Can you go to a hot dog eating contest or something without getting bullshit?
But either way, is there more?
What's up, Network 8898? What's up?
Yes, there is. Push is another banned word.
Push?
Yeah.
We're talking like whether someone's getting shoved or someone's getting a big push or that kind of deal.
Yeah, basically. And then being over is another banned word.
What is WWE doing?
Yeah.
What do you mean? What is Vince doing?
Yeah.
This is kind of like when people used to work for Kellogg's, they didn't want their employees just going to the gym to work out. They literally used to have it like that back in the day. It's like you do your job, you're there to do your thing. After that, you do whatever you want. Ain't nobody's business of what you do.
They just want to micromanage, and it's pathetic.
Is there more banned words?
Yes, babyface.
How about nuts?
No, we got another one, a heel.
John Cena said heel multiple times.
Yeah, but unfortunately, now you can't say it. Morons. And then the one that Jordan started that chant. Now you can't say it. Job/jobber.
Okay, what he's talking about, you can take the banner off now because I got something to say right there. The word he refers to and the chant that I started, and this is God's honest truth, I'm the one who started the Let's Go Jobber chant.
You did?
Nice.
Yes. Do you remember that? Okay, you remember when Elias Sampson was just having his first few matches in the WWE before he got shortened as Elias?
Yeah.
Okay, so basically during a match of his against a local wrestler around, South Carolina, of course, I wanted to do something, I didn't expect it for other people to chant along with me, but I decided to say, "Let's go Jobber. Let's go Jobber." And then other people in the arena, they were also, some mass of them were chanting it too. And I'm like, I just started a chant. Holy crap. And this is new. Like, this has never been chanted before. And, and if you go back and watch the match, I think it was the one where the main event was Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins, and it was in Greenville, South Carolina. Watch the match between Elias, versus that guy's name. I don't remember what his name was, but that's why I chanted "Let's Go Jobber." I was there. You could probably see me and my dad there, and that's where the chant originated from.
You never told us that.
Well, you never asked.
How are you?
Damn. That's my fault, I guess. Damn it. At least we know now.
All right, so anyone want to mention any more words before we move on to the next topic from Vince McMahon to WWE Creative?
To be honest with you, I got a list. I mean, the list of changes I've got, I want to save that, later on, because a lot of things need to be discussed before I give out a list of what I think should be changed with WWE's, image and all that. But what else is there to talk about? Like, we got the creative.
We got creative. We got misused talent. The talent releases. It's funny. Before we get into it, I actually looked up the Raw ratings. Do you know there was only there was maybe I think in the last couple of months, not even, I think in the last 6 months, there was only 1 or 2 occasions that they crossed over 2 million viewers. Everything else was under 2,000, and SmackDown has been consistently hitting over the 2 million mark.
That's because, they're actually doing something good for SmackDown in regards to storytelling, but also mainly Roman Reigns
Brock Lesnar over there right now.
And Brock Lesnar, well, the roid raging retard himself. The fact that remains is also there's some things that, that with SmackDown I kind of like more than Raw, and, But as far as I'm concerned, the WWE creative team, the only ones that we do know that are mostly overseeing creative are guys like either the boss himself, Vince McMahon, or Bruce Pritchard, and they're the one, and I feel like they're the ones who mostly have a vast say in creative. And I got to say, it's very, very overwhelming and very toxic, because nobody has any, like picture like this. Why hire writers if you're not going to take their writings just to help give more product to the show and roll with it and create something that could probably give you a lot of good for your stock?
Before we continue on, no, I did not know Fernando. I don't know if the other members of the Too Sweet group knew that WWE was charging $800 for a Finn Balor cameo. I was actually looking up the other day some cameos for Too Sweet Wrestling podcast. I thought it'd be kind of cool to get a pro wrestler to say, do a quick little 10-second intro. So I did not know that, but the prices on those 10-second videos are not worth it to me, where I can go and probably meet the wrestler for $40 to $80 and get them to do it in person. You know what I mean? It's not worth it.
Unless, of course,
also WWE, like, you have to go through WWE for the cameo. Like, what the fuck?
But either way,
Undertaker's $1,000.
I mean, I remember this, and it really just boggles my mind. Like, did you know that there's been one time Vince McMahon during one of the Raw shows, like, he comes to Raw very late, right? And the moment there's still that the writers are taking over the show to help out, even though Vince was late, he storms in, takes the paper and tears it up of the format for the writing of tonight's show, and then he does a new one by hand, all by himself. So you got to wonder, what's the point in having writers if you're not going to let them do what they do?
Exactly. That's something that I've never understood, because it could be a fire show on paper until Vince gets to the building. Vince
is a control freak. That's all there is to it.
He has to realize that it's not 1997 anymore, and overly dramatic characters aren't gonna get you money. Because Vince now, it's not about the in-ring. It's about how much merchandise you can push with your character. It doesn't matter if you can wrestle or not. It's about how much money you can make the company with your merch. That's why John Cena was on top for all those years, because he was constantly making Vince money. Same thing with Hogan, constantly making Vince money. And Stone Cold. But granted though, Stone Cold was never about the entertainment. He was about he's a technical. After he broke his neck, his in-ring style had to adapt and change to protect himself. But even though he was still a good technical wrestler, he was a good grappler, still all that good shit. But Vince has to realize, and WWE Creative have to realize, that you don't have that with this generation. And I understand that they're trying to protect the talent from getting hurt, but you don't have to go hard every single night. You don't have to go 200 miles an hour every single night. Just show up and show out when it counts. You can still have a good match. You can still have good storytelling during the match. But, again, Vince comes in, sees that paper, crimples it up, throws it out, and we're going to have this because it's such good shit. And that's it. You know, how many times did they put fucking Lana through a table before she left? I mean,
my God!
How many times did they put that poor woman through the match? I mean, how often?
That's like, you know, punishing someone just because you've already fired her husband. Like, that was just her punishment because Mira went to AEW.
And again, and the thing is, and to talk about AEW for a second, is I said it in I believe I said it in the first podcast. This man came out at WrestleMania on a fucking tank. A tank. There's only been 2 people in history have ever come out at a pay-per-view on a tank. That was DX at SummerSlam and Rusev at WrestleMania. So he was an undefeated machine. He was great. He loses to John Cena and fizzled out. Then he came. They reestablished him with Rusev Day, which I have my Rusev Day shirt in there. I should have wore it anyway. But I also have Alana is the best one, but it got bleached. But the thing is that they watered him down. Then he came back with the Rusev Day, and then they paired him with Aiden English. Then you thought he was going to get that big singles push. Then next thing you know, he's feuding with Bobby Lashley, and Lana turned his back, and now she's sleeping with Bobby Lashley, and then next thing you know, a couple of weeks later,
SummerSlam 2009 was when DX came out with a tank.
Yeah, so it's like, you know,
one of the best SummerSlams ever produced.
Then you go on YouTube, or not on YouTube, you go on WWE.com. WWE.com has parted ways with Rusev. We wish him the best in his endeavors. And I'm like, well, I didn't see that. It's not like I didn't see that coming. I mean, the guy's wife is cheating with a black man, and he's coming out of a cake. And then he goes to AEW, and he's coming out of a cake over there. And I'm like, Like, you fired him and he's still doing the same thing. You know what I mean? But now he's TNT champion and he's God's favorite champion, which is still a great. I love that. But anyway, that's that. Which brings me to my point. Vince does not know what to do with his talent anymore. That's why he should allow Triple H to run. He should sit back and count his millions or billions and let Triple H run Raw, let Triple H run SmackDown. Also, let him run NXT because NXT was fire. I don't care what anyone says. Yeah, it's been a little the last couple of months, but still definitely better than Raw. But the thing is, Vince needs to step away, let his creative team deal with it, and let them and just sit back and count and collect paychecks. You know what I mean? Collect those.
Show trust to your employees so they may trust you.
Exactly. Show trust, because if not, they'll go elsewhere. And we've seen it in the last couple of months. Cole, Daniel Bryan, now potentially Bray Wyatt might be going over there. If Bray Wyatt doesn't show up in AEW, he's going to Impact. But
or the NWA.
Or NWA, or he might even go over to New Japan. But the thing is I honestly think AEW doesn't need more talent. Yes, they have 3 shows. They have Dark, they have Dynamite, they have Rampage. Unless you're going to make Rampage a 2-hour show every week along with Dynamite, there's too much talent and there's not enough time to tell stories because you got too much talent trying to jam pack a 2-hour show, and especially on a 1-hour show, it's not going to work. But
speaking of which, Rampage will be airing for 2 hours next week on TNT as a part of the Grand Slam tour with AEW Dynamite, and
I was actually asked to go the other night to that show, the Grand Slam, Dynamite Grand Slam, but the only thing is I can't go because I have to work. So I was going to be there. I think I was going to be like 15 rows back, but I couldn't go. I can't go because of work. And I don't have the time to take off.
You wouldn't have just seen Dynamite for 2 hours. You would have also saw Rampage for 2 hours.
Yeah, I'm kind of upset about that.
It's like you're actually going to an actual wrestling event that actually can cater to wrestling fans for 4 hours and do a lot better than what WWE can for 4 hours on a pay-per-view, which I will also get to in one of my list of changes that WWE needs.
So it's just like you said, Vince needs to trust his employees to make his company better. I mean, look at what Triple H was doing with NXT. Even before Triple H took over NXT,
205 Live.
205 Live was just abomination from the get-go.
No, just hear me out. Like, in a sense, 205 Live was actually doing pretty good with its first couple years with its cruiserweight division, and plus Triple H, he was behind the booking for the cruiserweight division, so if he can book, he's good at booking matches, okay? Don't get me wrong. There's not a lot going on for 205, but that is also one of my list of changes too, but it's only for, 1 or 2 ways for how they go about it.
Anyone else have want to weigh in on WWE Creative?
Yeah. Now, you guys mentioned the whole thing of him ripping up scripts and like things being done last minute. This is sounding like horror stories that you hear about what happened with WCW in its dying days, to the point where they didn't know until like very close to showtime of what was going on. It's like you guys were even saying as well, saying like, what's the point of having the creative writers? It's like, what's the point of having the creative team if none of their ideas are being used, unless they're really terrible ones that make Vince laugh, and he's just behind the forefront? Like, why have these people on your payroll to do this job if somebody else is just going to nix everything and do the job himself? It's like, oh, there's got to be fart humor. Look at Natalia. She's like, her gimmick is that she's going to queef everywhere. It's going to be such good shit. Holy crap. It's like, you can't use freaking toilet humor and everything and expect everybody to get behind it unless they're like 5 years old or younger. It's like, you got to have the creative team come up with their ideas. Like, the last time he panicked and allowed like the creative team to do something was 7 when they were starting to do those changes and everything and listening like to Vince Russo and starting to do like more edgier content. But that's because he was put in a position where he felt to actually listen to them. But now Vince is so lazy and he tries to keep saying that nothing's a threat to the point where he doesn't feel like he needs anybody else's ideas. He just wants to be a one-man army going behind all this shit. So he's not going to listen to anybody else's creative ideas except for his own because he's got his head all the way up his ass. And according to my freaking picture here, he's got freaking cum all over his face because everybody's doing a bukkake all over him every fucking night backstage. So it's like, this is the problem like with Vince. He wants everything to be exactly the way he wants it. If it doesn't make him laugh or make him smile, he doesn't want to hear it. But the problem is, things that make him smile are stuff that other people don't want to see. We don't want to see childish humor on TV or cheap attempts at comedy. If the superstar doing comedy is not doing it right, it's like, just because it's entertaining to Vince and what his freaking demented brain thinks is comedy doesn't mean that everybody else is going to enjoy it. We don't want to see freaking Natalia queefing everywhere. We don't want to see Hornswoggle riding a freaking Chavo Guerrero in a freaking cow costume again like we saw in 2009. It's freaking dog shit. I don't want to see that crap. Nobody wants to see that crap. It's like things, like, you can't do everything yourself, and you can't just suddenly so soon before airtime, because this is not WCW. You're a bigger company. You're not in your dying days or anything. You have all these people on your payroll. Let them do the job and take some of the ideas instead of saying everything, like ripping up saying, oh, this is such bad shit. I make such good shit. Like, it's not going to freaking make your company succeed if you're just stuck in one way, because the guy lost his mind a long time ago. He doesn't know what the crowd wants, even though, then again, at times the crowd doesn't know what they want either because fans are so freaking bipolar. But it's like he doesn't know what's attracting the crowd because his way is not getting the job done.
Well, mostly what you see are shills, mostly in the crowd.
What were you saying, Chase?
I was going to say, like, what was the point when Xavier Woods came out with that freaking water thing, that water gun and the water tank behind him?
To waste time.
Like, I didn't fully get that shit.
He just wanted to say he was getting somebody wet because he couldn't get paid to do so back in all those years ago.
Yeah, we saw the videos.
Oh, God.
Brad Maddox be damned.
Well, yeah, he was crazy. He filmed himself in a hotel. It's like he was going to kill himself or something.
Well, Brandon, what are your thoughts on creative?
I mean, right now, it's shit. And they are, oh, gosh. I don't even know what to say about them. I mean, gosh. They should have, like, hired some better ones, but they won't. They won't.
In fact, that even reminds me of one thing. We were talking about Lana before. They did more than one occasion of her sleeping around with somebody else. First, they did the thing with her, Rusev, Summer Rae, and Dolph Ziggler back in 2015, and then she's suddenly getting some BBC, and I'm not talking about the news network, with freaking Bobby Lashley. It was like, why are they freaking booking her to be a slut? It's like, it didn't work the first time, so then they do it again. They just recycle shit.
Didn't they also do an edgier thing, like when we all thought Enzo Amore was about to score with Lana? But
yeah, and that was a trap. Come to my hotel room. And after he's walking around backstage naked, and it was just a freaking trap.
Enzo. That's the guy I wish. That's the guy who got the shit end of the stick. He got the shaft, and come to find out, he was innocent the whole time. They falsely fired him.
I think they did that because they couldn't put up with his attitude, but yet they put up with Sean's attitude from his first run. So that just shows you how bipolar they're getting.
But Sean was talented back then.
Yes, maybe so. But then again, there's a time and place to have an attitude. Sometimes back in the 90s, I don't think it should have been one of them because the company was on its knees at that point before the Attitude Era started.
The attitude can only work if you can back it up.
You think about it. They'll still put up with Brock's crap. They'll let Brock throw a belt right at Vince.
Yeah. And Vince will just sit there and be like, ha, 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 ha.
But like I said, Vince is in his mid-70s. Who knows how much longer he's got left. We're in a PG era. There's all these words we can't say, apparently.
This PG era has been going around for like 13 years right now, ever since after Great American Bash 2008.
Mm-hmm.
That too, but I mean, like with the whole PG thing, I know people like Cena, like he took advantage of the whole thing.
It's like that's when everything started to become more micromanaged and watered down to the point where you have more restrictions. Like you can't have blood, you can't do certain edgier stuff. Like right before they went PG, they were trying to do this whole incest angle between Paul Burchill and Katie Lee, saying he was like a brother.
Oh my god!
And then after they went PG, they let up on that. It's like, oh, that's not PG. We can't have a whole thing where a brother and sister are having sex and like freaking rubbing up on each other and being all dirty and shit on TV. That's not PG. Just like freaking pop filter. God damn it.
Unless you're watching Game of Thrones.
Yeah, but then again, they're not meant to be PG.
Well, there's so much
No, I'm talking like if you don't like we can't be showcasing that unless it's Game of Thrones. That's what I mean.
No, but I mean nowadays, compared to back then, compared to now, there's so much more of your options. Like you go to work or you go to school, you come home. There's so many things you can do between watching WWE, playing games, whatever it may be. So, I mean, there's a lot more better things now than WWE that we can do, even streaming or whatever, like we're doing now.
Yeah,
or watch porn.
That too. I mean, porn's more accessible than it was back then during the Attitude Era. So
No, not in your case.
Yeah, you don't have to rely on dialogue.
we'll save that for later.
And then one thing and another thing creative needs to stop doing is they need the storylines, the writers and creative need to stop booking Charlotte as champion. I understand she is pretty much the face of the division, but there's so many. You had a roster of NXT women. You had SmackDown had a roster of women, and Raw. Now you're lucky if you see maybe a fraction of that on either show. Granted, NXT was still doing the women's wrestling great. You had EO, you had Shayna down there, you had EO, you had all those good women down there, and then they came up Kairi Sane, who kind of pissed me off when she got to the main roster because she was in that match. She did a match. If I forgot what match it was. She was in. It was a hard. I think it was a no disqualification match, and every time she went to go get hit with the kendo stick, she ran like she was afraid to take the fucking hit. While you had Asuka in there taking shots left and right across the stomach, and Kairi Sane just running away. But you had a whole slew of women down in NXT that you could have divvied up and put on SmackDown and divvied up and put on Raw. And you could have utilized those tag team titles. You could have utilized them for the Raw Women's Championship, the SmackDown Women's Championship. And what they do, they had at the time when the tag team titles were introduced, they had a decent women's division where you had enough to do both singles and tag team. And they could have pulled up and brought up some of the women from NXT because for a little while they were defending the tag team championships down in NXT, but then that stopped, and that's why NXT had to bring in their own women's tag team titles. So it could have been managed better creatively. And that's why I say Charlotte is great in the ring, but I don't want to see her champion every freaking week. I don't want to see her champion all the time. You have, again, it comes down to creative. Vince, trust your creative, trust your writers. Let them write up a good program for some of these women. Because you got Charlotte on Raw, Nikki Ash, you got Shayna, you got Nia. Well, Nia, I think she's done. She's dangerous. If I was a woman and a wrestler, I would not trust her. She can go in, not her. I'm not talking about Nia. Nia, I liked her when she first came up, but then it kind of fizzled out after a while. But with Shayna is a legitimate fighter. She is the honestly. I'm going to say this. She was better than Ronda Rousey in the ring. She's better than Ronda Rousey. She actually trained to become a professional, a pro wrestler. She had all that background in MMA, and then she took on that and she grew. With Ronda, it was just the money.
Forced.
It was too forced. It was just a money situation, and they wanted to make money, and that's what they did. They brought her in. They taught her a couple of arm drags. They taught her how to safely apply an arm bar, and then here you go, WrestleMania spot. Here you go. A couple of months later, we're going to make you women's champion for almost a year. And then here you go. We're going to give you the main event of WrestleMania. And where is she now? She's sitting at home playing fucking video games.
Someone, I know who that is in the live chat. He just said Nia Jax my whole line.
Yeah.
Whole line.
But that's what I'm saying is, and it brings us back to our point. Vince, I know you're never going to see this video, but have some fucking faith in your creative and story writers.
But see now,
he's probably watching us. I mean, maybe he's just watching us through, while he's jacking off to, Charlotte Flair.
Probably.
Or to his daughter.
Did Charlotte Flair ever get her nudes removed off the internet? I know she was demanding for that.
I think so. And God, I don't know why anyone would want to have seen that. I feel bad for Andrade because she is not that attractive naked.
Her body was kind of like a little anorexic looking.
It was kind of eh. And now she has all this. Now she's having all this cosmetic work done, and because she's with somebody, and yeah.
What was that say, Double Z?
But now the stuff you were saying about the women is the exact stuff I've said in 2 episodes of the podcast on my channel regarding Charlotte Flair and the women's tag. Like, you look at the women's tag division right now. Look at all the tag teams that were there in that awful freaking battle tag team gauntlet / turmoil from WrestleMania 37. Only one of those tag teams from that match from night 1 is still a tag team to this day. All the others, they're all broken up.
And
like, they barely even got a tag division in the first place.
Then the women's tag is Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, right?
No. It's Natalya and Tamina.
Oh yeah, that too.
That's
like they barely got a tag division. And you said the exact same stuff I've said about Charlotte. Like, she's been on the main roster for 6 years. She's barely had any storylines that don't involve either trying to be a champion or already being a champion. She's had I can think of 3 storylines that she's had outside of that Divas Revolution crap that started. You had the one-off feud with Ronda Rousey, the one-off thing with freaking Trish, and then that temporary feud with Lacey Evans before she got knocked up. Otherwise, all she does, because that's the only thing that got creative, is either she's a champion or she's trying to be a champion because they don't know what else to do with her. She goes away for freaking surgery or whatever to try to get her breast fixed or something for some reason. And she comes back, immediately gets a title shot. SummerSlam 2018, immediately in there. The TLC pay-per-view last year when Asuka needed a tag partner, it was Charlotte. Charlotte misses WrestleMania. As soon as she comes back, boom, title picture again. They don't know what else to do with her, and that's especially with Vince because he has certain fixation with certain blonde-ass bimbos for some reason, outside of Trish, because Trish is not a bimbo, to be honest. But he doesn't know what to do with her besides saying, be a champion, be a champion, be a champion again. It's like, do something else with this woman.
Well, the fact of the matter is that that Vince has this, way where he wants to try and match up her legacy with her father's, and I honestly think if it was over 20 years of hard work, I would say go for it. But if it's going to be immediately pushed, especially in under 10 years, I'm sorry, that's just showcasing favoritism. And I think that's a good question, ZT. I think that's a good question.
I won't deny Charlotte's athletics, talent and everything. Out of all of Ric Flair's children that are that have been in the wrestling business, she is without a doubt the most successful and athletic and everything. But the problem is her gimmick, too similar to her father's, where she doesn't have her own identity, and the constant title runs and everything are too forced within 6 years. So it's like I said, she's barely done anything that doesn't involve a championship. There's no variety in there to show that she's capable of doing something else. It's always champion. Or look, even 2016, the feud with Sasha, they were just playing hot potato with the Raw Women's Championship every freaking month. Champion. Now it's Sasha. As soon as she defends the title, it's on Charlotte and back and forth. It's like
it was a mess. You can
do something with somebody at the top of your freaking division and do something that does not involve being a champion. There are plenty of storylines you can make where it's not just somebody having a stranglehold over a belt because you don't know what else to do with them. Just because you can't think of another creative storyline outside of just a one-off feud or something about some woman having sex with your daddy.
Well, that's a good question that was made for you earlier. Zach, what's your thoughts on Mandy Rose being in NXT?
I see the person who commented on that, but I'm not answering them because of the certain history I have with that person who left that comment.
Well, I'm asking you.
Well, it's like, I don't even know what Mandy Rose is even doing in NXT at this point. Like, I saw that
She's
new
part of
look
another
she had where she
faction.
dyed her hair brown. It's like, why do I keep hitting my pop filter? I saw that new look she's got where she's got brown hair, which doesn't look too bad. But it's just like she went from suddenly being in a tag match at WrestleMania to suddenly going back to NXT. I have no clue what she's even doing right now.
Maybe she's wanting to, I don't know, maybe
kind of like reinvent herself.
Reinvent herself, yeah.
But it's like I don't even know what storyline she's in. All I know is I saw her where she took a hood off, started attacking people. But it's like I don't know what led up to that or what she's even doing.
To be honest with you, I find it good because if she's going to be a heel and she's going to be a bad girl, then she's got to look the part and try to be vicious.
Well, if she wants to be a bad girl, I'm all for that.
There's not that much viciousness within the women's division as much.
No, because with the with women nowadays, they're either just freaking ripping at each other's hair or just slapping each other around.
I think the women's revolution in 2015, I don't think it was a complete and total failure because WWE did push the envelope a little bit with the women's division. They allowed them to go out there with good storyline. Yeah. You're able to go out there and we were able to actually have some good storytelling within the matches. We had the first ever women's Hell in a Cell match.
Don't even get me started with that one.
Yeah, the first you had last man standing matches. I think if I'm not mistaken, they had ladder matches too. Like so, it was just like they started off like doing something different with the women's division, and it was like, hey, you know what? We can do the same things that the men can do. Not on a level that the men can do it, but we can still go out there and do something. And
yeah, their bodies aren't as frail or fragile as you may think they may be. As long as they're trained to handle, spots like that, then hey, go for it.
But also, like with the women, they're putting in these specialty matches not because they make sense. It's just because they want to promote it, saying, "Oh, it's never been done before." Like that Hell in a Cell that you were just trying to scoot away from. They just did that out of nowhere just because it's a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. Oh, we've never had women inside Hell in a Cell. But that doesn't mean that it's the right thing unless the feud calls for it. Don't do something because it's never been done before. Do it because it makes sense.
Yeah, but it's also stemming to the fact that, most of the WWE has always been, productive and, pushing for the, male-oriented part of the programming and format of their company. And that's what should have main evented, not the women. I mean, I'm not trying to sound like, I'm against women or not. I'm trying to sound like a person with some sense saying that you got to if you're going to do this for the main event, you have to build it up for where every show you have has to end with the women so they can lead into the pay-per-view as the main event. That's what I've always thought of, when it comes down to if women are going to step up their game to main event pay-per-views, then they have to end the show with main events or maybe with some segments that are, can be considered memorable, but you get what I'm coming at. Yeah.
I was asked a question in the chat, so I'm just going to take a couple seconds to answer that. My reaction to WWE's 2K22 delay, if they're delaying it so that way they can polish the game and make it less glitchy, less buggy, then I'm all for it. Because they need to seriously fix the atrocity that was 2K20. I was happy that we didn't get 2K21. And I'm happy that we're finally getting another WWE game that wasn't arcadey. From the graphics that I saw, the picture images and stuff that I seen, it looks great. I can't wait to see what the overall product is going to look like. But as long as if they're working hard on the game, they could take as long as they want. because honestly, I'd much rather have them take the time and delay than not take the time and rush.
By the way, just so we're clear, Fernando, what he just said right there, I did not like the death of Reed Flair being used on the final Raw before WWE Survivor Series 2015. I was there the night when that happened. I was in the attendance when that happened.
I don't actually, you know what? Hold on.
It was the night before. It was the
remember
Monday
that.
Night Raw prior to Survivor Series, and Paige decided to exploit Reed's death, to trigger Charlotte Flair in
I
storyline.
remember it now. I remember,
And
yeah.
I was there in attendance, and I was just, are you freaking kidding me?
Nothing in that segment even called for that line to even be brought up.
Ric Flair was disgusted himself, and he did not know that was going to happen, but he was so mad, and I don't blame him. I think that's his son.
Yeah.
I mean, that death was what caused him to have drinking problems like a few years prior.
And now
Ric Flair's
It's
always
like-
been hit.
Well, like
here
if
and
you
there
remember
when it
right
comes to
before,
drinking.
I think it was like that WWE 2K14 press conference or whatever they were doing. Rick was on the panel, drunk off his ass, and this was after his son passed, so it was like his coping mechanism, and he was like, you could tell how awfully hammered he was, just trying to cope with
Yeah.
his passing.
Yeah, it's crazy, and I don't like when they exploit wrestlers' deaths. Yeah, I don't like that.
Let's say this for an example. Dynamite this past Wednesday.
Yes,
What MJF
yes,
did.
Yes,
When I
was
heard
fucked up.
when I heard him say that, I even explained this on R&R, and I will explain it right here. I was appalled. I was embarrassed to even be watching him. Just by him saying that made me like very uncomfortable, and I feel like I understand the point of you getting heel heat, but that just crosses the line.
Yeah, I didn't like that at all. I mean, I get it. I get that he's playing a heel and he's playing it very well, but there's certain lines, especially when you're a heel, there's certain lines that you don't cross. And that was a line that you crossed. They've been doing it for the longest time in professional wrestling. In WWE, whether in AEW,
they have.
in Impact. I remember it was
I remember the first time they did it, like they were trying to use Eddie Guerrero's death, to push Rey Mysterio
for the Rey
into
Mysterio.
the
Yes.
Yeah, and then there was Paul Bearer, who just died the same month as they were building CM Punk and Undertaker for WrestleMania 29. And then there was the whole feud between Natalya and Ruby Riott for them to go into TLC because her dad had also recently passed away earlier that year, which was, and I was immediately disgusted, just by them once again exploiting it. It's like every time you look at something, you realize that's not something you don't want to happen to you in real life, even though if a person agrees with said idea to exploit a death of whose family member or whose wrestler, I mean, that's fine, but then again, you have to realize there have to be some standards met with your audience, like with me, for instance. I mean, I get immediately disgusted when someone exploits a death just to tell a story,
And wasn't it that was when they did that when Rey Mysterio was getting that big push after winning the Royal Rumble, and everything, wasn't he did a match? I think there was a promo. I believe it was on SmackDown, of course.
Are you talking about when Randy Orton said Eddie Guerrero was not in heaven?
Yeah. That pissed me off so much. I remember that, and I just couldn't remember if it was Orton or Batista, but I remember
it was
Batista.
Orton.
Batista did that in 2009.
Batista said
That's where he just
2009.
said Eddie's dead.
Yeah. So
I mean,
it's crazy. It's just.
But guess who? Well, who was the one that brought Eddie up? Ray. And guess who wanted to use that into the script? Vince.
And it's just the thing is like they didn't do it. If I'm not mistaken,
that's another flaw. That's another flaw creative need to think about. Like, stop exploiting wrestlers' death to build a storyline.
Because I don't think they did that with Owen. I know that. I know they didn't do that. I don't think they did that.
Actually, I think they did a little bit by giving Jeff Jarrett a push for, the Intercontinental belt.
He was
Well,
an Intercontinental Champion already, wasn't he? When Owen
No,
passed?
because at
No.
Over the Edge, it was the Godfather. He was supposed to drop the Blue Blazer. I think it was like a week or two after Raw as Owen. That's when the Godfather lost title to Jeff Jarrett, and Jeff was like screaming Owen's name afterwards, kind of like as a tribute to him when he won the title.
I mean, like, I got no problem with Jeff Jarrett winning the title. I just don't feel like if he was going to win it, then he should have won it like maybe a few months after the death and not like sometime, like a little time after his death,
I'll tell you right now, I've never, I'll say this and I'll open up about it too, is wrestlers, they come and go, they pass away. And the thing is that I think the only wrestler to have ever passed away that affected me emotionally and mentally was Eddie.
Yeah, same. I would have to agree with that because Eddie was great,
I remember he had that documentary. I think it was like a couple of months. Before. I think it was a couple of months before he passed away. He had that documentary on TV, and it was Cheating Life and Stealing Death, or no, Stealing Life and Cheating Death. And it was on TV. They actually had it on TV, and I watched it, and I remember taping it. And I still get goosebumps when I watch No Way Out 2004.
Oh, the match between him and Brock is available for free on YouTube to watch.
Nice. I remember that match. That's a classic match.
By the way, it's the only match Brock Lesnar had in a normal standard singles match to be the longest in his career.
And he actually put somebody over.
With the help of Goldberg.
No, Goldberg came in. I don't
think. If you want my honest opinion, I think Goldberg shouldn't have done anything. I think Eddie had it in the bag, even before Goldberg, did anything.
Yeah, but they just wanted that as fuel to still kick off the Brock Goldberg feud leading into WrestleMania. So they gave that like an extra plot device.
And what happened after that? Once they had Brock versus Goldberg, guess what happened? They both simultaneously leave. Brock because he can't handle the traveling, and Goldberg because he felt like he wasn't being booked right.
It was the same thing when Stone Cold walked out. Stone Cold walked out dead ass in the middle of a Monday Night Raw because he was supposed to be. He was supposed to put Brock Lesnar over and go. Brock Lesnar was supposed to win because that was the year he won the King of the Ring, and Austin was like, "I'm not doing it because it's not a pay-per-view." And he goes, "There's no build up to it. Why do I need to put him over?"
I actually agree with that. To be honest, I'm not going to lie. Sure, I mean, it's kind of shady for Stone Cold to want to be so selfish, but when you think about the selfishness with how he comes off of it, it actually proves a point that there was no build-up between him and Brock, for a pay-per-view. And on top of that, that should have been the case. I mean, but even though the whole thing with him being very unprofessional, that was not the only reason why he left the company. There were tons of other reasons why. That was one of,
but I also know he was having problems with his neck again, if I'm not mistaken.
Not just his neck.
His wife, and they were putting him with Scott Hall for WrestleMania.
No. There was also physical problems, health problems, mental problems, and even marital problems. But he did make a good point.
WWE's writing of what they were doing with his character.
Yeah, exactly. He
instead of platinum albums like he was selling before, he was stuck selling gold ones, and that's less. So
I think Stone Cold made a point about the creative, in regards to Bite This, when they did that.
And also, Undertaker said on a podcast less than a year ago that WWE's talent are just softies.
Yeah.
Well, think of it like this: he's contracted with the company.
Well, no, the Undertaker was already done.
No, he's still under contract with the company.
Well, he's not wrestling anymore, but
yeah,
he's still collecting them checks.
If you're still contract with the company, and it doesn't matter how you go about it, you have to, act like the company you represent is like put over, and not being, like shot down by verbal, words whatsoever.
Yeah,
No criticism. You got to make sure you praise it, or your checks will not only get cut, but you'll be cut. Period.
I know he signed a 15-year deal with WWE. Lucky prick.
So, I want to say we're gonna get ready to move on to the next topic. And the only reason why I say that is because we actually legit covered 2 topics in this half of the discussion: the misuse of talent and creative. So,
well, I got something about the talent part now that I think about it.
All right, shoot.
So right now in front of me, I got the list of everybody who's been NXT champion, and I realized most of the talent, or like a good amount of the talent that have eventually come up to the main roster that have been like primary NXT talent champion, a lot of their booking has been iffy when you look at it. So it's like Seth Rollins, he's one of the few that actually got true success when you look at it in the long run. Big E, it took him like 9 years after debuting on the main roster to become like world champion. Bo Dallas, the most he did was become a tag champion with Curtis Axel. Otherwise, he was just doing that whole stupid Bo leave crap that I honestly don't know why people got behind it. Like, and especially with that attire he looked like he was wearing a diaper with that white trunks that he was running around in. Adrian Neville, he was just a cruiserweight. Sami Zayn, who knows right about now. Kevin Owens, he looks like he's like shoves like slices of pizza up his ass at this point. Finn Balor, Finn Balor, I don't give a damn about. I don't care what anybody says. I cannot stand Finn Balor. People overrate him and like salivate over him for some reason, and freaking always claim he's being buried and everything, no matter what. And I'm sick of it.
You're jealous because he smiles better than you.
I don't give a damn about that. He looks like a freaking Chippendale stripper. He's just standing there when he does his entrance, freaking sticking his crotch out and showing everybody his abs like, "Ooh, fella, look at me. I'm all in a fancy jagger. Look at my cock, fella." Like, I don't give a damn about Finn Balor. He's freaking overrated. All he's got is his entrance and the demon character. That's all he's got. What is normal Finn Balor? I don't give a shit about him. You got freaking Samoa Joe, always getting injured. Shinsuke, goofy faces, now he's got an electric guitar guy. Bobby Roode, all he's done is team with Dolph Ziggler for some damn reason. Freaking Andrade, other than you being U.S. champion, did nothing. And Aleister Black, besides getting his eyeball freaking shoved in a freaking steel steps, what did he do on the damn main roster? And then you look at Keith Lee, hasn't done much because of health.
He hasn't done much because it's not health. He hasn't done much because Vince wants him to lose weight.
But it's also been because of health, because he mentioned that in an interview, like some health stuff that he had while he was away.
I think Mia had COVID, if I'm not mistaken.
Something with COVID and something with his heart, like they were detecting it, and that's why they were also keeping him off TV. But it's like with Keith Lee, he hasn't done a whole lot either, like outside of that time, even though some people have been iffy about his booking. But it's just like, you look at so many people that were NXT champion, they come up to the main roster and they don't do a whole lot. You got talent that's like no names in NXT. They come up to the main roster. They don't do shit. Look how people were judging Karrion Kross when he came up because he looked like he was into BDSM for some reason with the helmet and the freaking straps over his body without having that sexy Scarlett Bordeaux on his side. By the way, Scarlett, if you're listening, call me. I'm available, damn it. But it's like, you look at him come up to main roster. He's watered down, what people say. Yeah, slide in my DMs, please. And I'll slide into that pussy. I don't give a shit. But it's like, you look at so many talent that come up from NXT, they don't do a whole lot. Like I said, look at Bobby Roode. He was success in TNA. He was like, why do I keep hitting my goddamn pop filter? He was a success in TNA. He was like the freaking it factor of professional wrestling, became his own name and everything. But then he comes over to WWE, and after being NXT champion, he had like a brief one with the US title. He's just known for his entrance music. And then all he's done since then is just, for whatever reason, constantly teaming with Dolph Ziggler. Like, you look at somebody like that, he can cut a promo and he's good in the ring. But like, why do you just keep putting him in a tag team? Why do you have freaking Samoa Joe is getting injured, or Neville just being a cruiserweight, Bo Dallas running around in a diaper for some damn reason? So many wrestlers on NXT become a known name because they're under Triple H, but then when Vince gets his hands on them, they don't really get used much of at all. It's getting ridiculous. Like, you can't develop new stars if you take guys that are start to grow in NXT, and then you just freaking throw them to shit once they come up to the main roster, just because you want to just keep pushing the guys that are already no names and not prevent the future.
Exactly, because that's when it falls back on creative, because they're in such a rush to get these guys to the main roster, and they're killing it down on NXT because they actually have a creative team that knows what the fuck they're doing, and Triple H knows what he's doing because he's been a part of the business for so long that he kind of knows what needs to be done to be a good product and a good show. And then they get up to the main roster and they do absolutely nothing with them because they don't have anything for them creatively. That is the reason why 99% of the NXT talent that goes to the main roster winds up being either let go or sent back down to NXT.
It proves a lot of my friends, right. Whatever Triple H creates, Vince destroys.
Vince kills. Yes.
Let me give a perfect example. EC3. People were praising him because he reinvented himself in TNA, comes to WWE, gets the opposite reaction as intended with the feud, and Dean Ambrose does absolutely nothing the rest of his time in there with WWE to the point where he was just unmotivated.
Yeah, that's how they, because he got to the main, he went into NXT, went to the main roster. He thought he was going to get another shot. They pretty much basically said, we're going to stick you in a feud with Dean Ambrose for no apparent reason, and we're going to book you to do absolutely nothing, and you're going to lose, and Ambrose is going to go over, and that's it. And that's what they're doing. That's the reason why that's the reason why guys like Adam Cole never wanted to go up to the main roster outside of when he went up there because of everyone was sick and or having travel issues because of the show in Saudi Arabia, and they needed to put a program together for Survivor Series, so they had to throw NXT into the mix. Outside of that little brief period of time that Adam Cole was on the main roster, he had no intentions on ever going up to that main roster. And I wouldn't want to either. I wouldn't either because he was Triple H's homeboy down in NXT, him and the UE.
Or let me bring up another name that's not in WWE people probably forgot about. Mike Bennett, a.k.a. Mike Kanellis. They tried this whole power of love, power couple, with Maria as soon as he debuted. In his first pay-per-view match against Sami Zayn, he loses. He comes back, and next thing you know, he's a complete, jobber to death because he's at the mercy of his pregnant wife, just freaking demeaning him the whole time, saying, you're not even a man. Maybe Becky Lynch will get me pregnant because she'll have the balls. He just went from possibly having some potential to doing not a damn thing and being belittled by his pregnant wife the whole damn time ever since he freaking got up to the main roster.
I think what also another problem was the fact they were making him be named after his, wife's maiden name.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. That showed how bad it was. That's not normal.
That's like showcasing, yourself being a cuck,
It's reminding me of that one scene from Hey Arnold where Helga Pataki imagined herself being president, and then instead of her taking Arnold's last name, instead he took hers while she's being president. It's normally it's the other way around. It's the woman taking the man's last name, but then all of a sudden, right away, he introduces himself as Mike Kanellis. It's why are you taking your wife's last name? I get her last name is more known with her first name, but it's if you're married, take it the other way around.
Not to go off topic, but I gotta say this real quick. The reason why they named him Pataki at one point was because at the time they didn't give him a real last name, but then as later years when they did that Jungle movie thing, they now announced that it was Short Man. So you can't. But really still,
they could have just said she was Helga instead of just saying that he took the last name.
Yeah.
Because then it kind of insinuates who wears the pants in the couple.
I agree with Chase, Chase. I don't know why he just didn't say this in the video, but he says he goes darts at a wall.
Yeah, they do. Same thing. It's when they freaking with Dean Ambrose and Brock Lesnar. They didn't do much of anything. They just threw the match together.
Brock was more unprofessional, not being very cooperative of certain spots.
And plus, you even look at Dean because of that. It's Dean's momentum got cut because of how poor he was booked in that match. Then out of nowhere, he's WWE champion despite having no real momentum leading into his son cashing out of nowhere. But before then, the only thing he did between WrestleMania and get the Money in the Bank contract was have that Asylum match with Chris Jericho. That didn't build up his momentum enough to make people believe that he would be a credible WWE champion when it happened.
There's a question that was asked. What are your thoughts on Impact Wrestling suspending Tommy Dreamer? I think it's bull crap. I mean, like it, and I don't think it needed to happen. I mean, it was,
Chase, Brandon, do you guys have anything you want to add on the misuse of WWE misusing their talent?
Well, right now, like, when you see all these people that are going, these feuds, I mean, how good is the story?
The match is only a byproduct of the story that's being told. If there's no story, the match is going to suck donkey dick.
50-50 booking.
This thing between Reigns and Lesnar right now, how are you guys liking it?
So I think okay, so here's the thing. I'm a Paul Heyman guy because the fucking guy can work a mic. He's a great talker. So I'll say this. I like Reigns. I like the character. This is the Reigns that we should have had for the longest time. When the Shield broke up, this should have been the Roman that was Universal Champion before he announced leukemia. This is the Roman that we should have had post when Seth Rollins turned his back on the Shield. This is the Roman we should have had back then. Now, Lesnar, I've always been a Lesnar fan, so I'm liking what they're doing.
Hold on, could we have had the Paul Heyman Roman Reigns thing back then while he was doing his thing with Brock? Could we have had it?
I don't think we could have. And I think the only reason why they waited so long to do what they did now with Roman is because Brock took all that time away. Because Brock doesn't like to travel. He doesn't like being around a lot of people. He even said it on Austin's Austin's podcast on the network. He goes, I don't like being around people. I don't like people. He goes, I like to keep to myself. So I think that's, in a way it kind of worked out for Roman because when I don't know if Roman went into Vince and said, hey, I want to go heel. Hey, this is what's going on. This is what I would like to do. I want to have Heyman as my mouthpiece. I don't know if that's what he did or if this was all WWE's doing, but it's great. It works.
I have something to say about the part where he says about the travel thing. If he doesn't like being around people, then don't be seen at all. Like be spontaneous. Like be a little, anonymous. Like have a hood on or something.
No,
don't be noticed.
He's getting paid at least $5 million a year. He's making millions. He can afford the private jets.
But it's like if they wanted to do a Roman Paul alliance, they could have done it in 2014 and spared us that pointless alliance that Paul Heyman had with Cesaro that went absolutely nowhere.
Yeah.
There could have been like a better replacement and would have been far more successful.
I'll admit, I kind of relate to what Brock says about not liking people. I mean, I'm starting not to really like people either, especially the stupid ones.
Well, unless they have a vagina.
People for sure. Not just in real life, but on the internet too. I was like, yeah, I can't stand them.
So my take on to finish my take on it, it's making for great TV. They're making Paul the situation with Paul Heyman, where Roman's like, did you know he was going to be at SummerSlam and all this stuff, and then. Especially on SmackDown last night where he's walking through and then I think as a Caleb Braxton jumps out of nowhere and scares him. And then all of a sudden he turns around to walk away and he gets scared by Big E standing behind him. Like, I would love to see like behind closed doors or even if they were still I know they're still doing Talking Smack after SmackDown, but it was funny because if I'm not mistaken, wasn't Paul Heyman Big E guy? Like, wasn't he like all for Big E being champion? And now he's like playing it as like he doesn't really care. But I'm curious to see what's gonna happen because are we finally gonna see Lesnar go over? I mean, not Lesnar, Roman go over Reigns. Reigns go over Lesnar. Sorry, excuse me.
Roman go over Reigns.
Yeah, I fuck up. All right. Are we finally going to see Roman go over Lesnar, or is Lesnar going to take the title? I mean, if they take the title off of Roman, then you kill all his momentum, and then again, all those talks about having them bring in The Rock for WrestleMania and shit like that goes out the window because you can't take the title off him just to put the title back on him to continue the momentum he had.
The match between Lesnar and Reigns, they're talking about having it at Crown Jewel, not Extreme Rules, but at freaking Crown Jewel.
Yeah.
If Lesnar wins, and let's say he wins the title, how many times do you think he's going to defend it until WrestleMania? Like once or twice, maybe at the most.
None.
But also, if Lesnar does,
I mean, to be honest with you, if he has that title and doesn't defend it in the 30-day limit period, I will go nuts.
I'll still
wouldn't
go
be the first time.
Wait, who?
Because it's in Houston. But
if Lesnar wins that Crown Jewel,
if he wins the title, I mean, if he does win the title, how is his red side plates going to look on the blue Universal title?
they might probably just change the colors to blue behind.
Or
his
just keep the red. It doesn't matter. I mean, like what color you have your side plates, as long as they're there.
It's kind of weird. Well, I mean, either way, they still won't put them back on Chop Zone, so motherfuckers. But I mean, if they were to make blue versions of Brock Lesnar side plates on that blue Universal, that would look badass. It would.
When it comes to titles, when it comes to titles, I'm still torn on which replica I want to get because I don't know if I want the Undisputed or if I want the big network logo.
Get the Undisputed 2020. I love it.
I just don't like how thick the plates are.
Hey, the heavier the better. If it's too light, I mean, come on. It's just it'll feel better if it's on a real leather sheet.
The weight only matters when it tears out your shoulders. What do you think I keep going through when I have the spinner belt on my shoulders all damn day long?
Let me tell you, when I went to Money in the Bank 2019 and I cosplayed as the Usos, I could not lift my arms up the next day at work because I was in so much pain because that title is heavy as hell.
Wait,
and I think this one.
It's not as heavy as this one.
Oh,
Bro,
yeah.
Remember, this has more freaking center plates and spinning and everything. This is more weight than yours.
Look at the thickness on those plates, bro, and they're double
That's like
stacked.
4 millimeters.
This is definitely not 4 millimeters.
Either 2 or 4. It's hard to tell. It's hard to see it.
Nah, I think this is it's zinc alloy, so it's like 4 millimeters, and I think it's also stacked.
The 2020 Undisputed is 6 millimeters.
Yeah, that's gonna kill my arms.
I'll carry mine all damn day. Just put it on real leather. I'll be fine.
But
I tear my shoulders all the time, jacking off like a motherfucker.
You'll be all right. You're built now.
Brandon, do you have any? I know that when I asked if you guys had anything to add, it looked like you had I saw the wheels turning. So, any input on WWE's misuse of talent? Because I'm sure you probably got a lot to say.
I mean, well known. I know he wasn't world champion at that time when he was with the WWE. I would have said Zack Ryder, a.k.a. Matt Cardona.
Did his career get ruined by Cena?
I think that love triangle did kind of kill his momentum, but I think if they hadn't stick him with that storyline, I think they could have probably did something with him.
Oh, yeah.
But what about Jeff Hardy, though, when he went for the United States title? Like, you saw that match, right?
They're trying to make him a Grand Slam champion. What do you expect?
Yeah.
It would have been nice to see Jeff Hardy with that United States title and give him a pair of his own side plates. It would have been nice.
I mean, TNA gave him a whole belt.
Yeah, they did.
It wasn't too bad. I mean, it wasn't that bad. I'll be honest.
The what did he used to say? His imagination, imagine. Yeah, he used to say something. When he used to cut a promo, he would be like, he goes, you won't be able to spend 2 minutes in my imagination or something. The way he said it was
imagination.
Weird. Yeah, but I liked his TNA theme though. That was kind of dope. I liked his TNA theme when he was with Immortal.
I'm not watching TNA still now.
I watch it when I'm bored. To be honest with you, I watch it when I'm bored. But
Double Z, is that plate with metal plates or is that plastic?
Which one?
The one you're holding right now, are the plates metal or are they plastic?
This is the replica.
Okay, I just wanted to be sure. I wasn't sure at first.
So other than Zack Ryder, Brandon, anyone else that you think WWE kind of dropped the ball with big time?
Oh,
He had to do the deep lean back for that one.
Doing somewhat okay with Orton and what's that other one's name?
Oh man,
I forgot his name.
a lot of good ones to choose from, but
What's his name?
Who?
The one that Orton's tag team champions with?
Riddle.
Yeah, Riddle.
Oh God.
What do you think of that?
Riddle.
Fuck Matt Riddle.
Wendy.
oh man. Oh,
Just
my
don't cash in
word.
on my pal Wendy.
Ugh.
No, but right now, who's freaking? The next pay per view is Extreme Rules, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, and we got Roman Reigns, Finn Balor. Who is Big E going up against?
Nobody at the moment, but you didn't let
He'll probably
Brandon
go
give
against
his
Bobby.
chance. You didn't give Brandon give his chance to try and think of wrestlers that WWE dropped the ball with.
I mean,
There's a lot of them.
there is. I was trying to think. Oh man.
Well, I'll put this up here because there you go. There's a talent releases.
Oh, okay. Well. Wow.
Steve Cutler.
Yeah, there's a lot of NXT guys on there, so
Oh, what's Mickey James doing now?
I think she's back over in Impact.
She just
I thought she was doing something with NWA.
It might be NWA. I could be
He
wrong.
is,
Let
yeah.
me-
With
Let me check.
If she's back at Impact, she would make a whole lot of money just being on OnlyFans and wearing the same outfit she wore at WrestleMania 22.
Oh no, she's signed back with Impact.
Yeah, I'm about to say she can make more money where it's at.
I thought she would have been more in NWA just due to her husband Magnus being over there.
I really wish they would have kept Brazongo, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
They were
Oh,
a
she
great
is.
tag team.
Oh, she's in both NWA and Impact.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That is a long list of names, man.
Yeah, it is. And I'm telling you, and that's not even. I didn't include the Performance Center guys, the guys that haven't even been on TV yet, that are still like they just signed to the Performance Center. So there's a lot more. There's like
Did you think of any names, Brennan?
Not really there, Jordan.
I can think of the names that they could drop the ball with, and one of them was already said in the live chat, Muhammad Hassan.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. Okay.
Unforeseen circumstances, though.
Yeah,
Oh,
and then
yeah.
there were more ball. They dropped the ball with too back in the day, and that was, like there was one with CM Punk even before the long reigning WWE title run, and they even dropped the ball with him even during the title reign, and like they didn't let him main event pay-per-views unless if it was with John Cena or something.
Yeah.
Oh.
There's a lot of people in this list alone. There's quite a few people. Alistair, they dropped the ball with him mid-push. They let him go mid-push. Fucking Alistair, Andrade. The only thing that was limiting Andrade in WWE was that he doesn't speak a lot of English, so he needed a mouthpiece. Which I think that would have been. Oh shit!
Oh, something happened. I think there's a reason. I think we know why. By the way,
Whip it out.
I got the list of changes ready, because I've been waiting because we're about to hit the 2-hour mark.
Yep, go ahead. Let it fire.
All right. This is just my opinion, so you guys don't have to, take it too seriously. But then again, you can always give your own thoughts of my list of what I'm about to say one at a time, because this is 11, things right here of the list of changes that WWE needs, or they will be dead somewhere around here in the 2020s. Well, number one, obviously, and this is something I've always had a problem with. Number one is to produce commercial free for the matches, just as you do for the segments. And, well, you just came back. Well, that was fast.
I was checking.
How'd it go?
I was looking up. No, I went. I'm not that quick. No, I went on my
You
Facebook.
left to have a quickie?
Huh?
A cricket!
I can get fast when I want to.
That's
All
not
right.
something you should ever strive to do.
All right, there, Minuteman.
Either way, I'm going to go ahead and go with the list.
Go ahead.
Number 1, produce commercial free for the matches, just as you do for the segments. This is a problem that I kept getting frustrated with ever since the WWE changed the format for Monday Night Raw from 2 hours to 3 hours. It's clearly obvious that they give more TV time to the segments in the ring than they do the matches. And if they want to showcase the performance of the talent of their roster, they need to showcase the entire match in its entirety, because one moment could happen during a commercial break and the TV audience would miss on what could be a great moment in the match itself.
Or
Yeah.
do picture-in-picture like AEW does for a lot of their matches.
Or the other way,
They already
WWE tried to supplement this when they did the stupid 2 out of 3 fall stipulation, so that there was no action during the commercial breaks.
Yeah,
And
but
that was
here's
just
the problem.
that was an absolute failure.
There were times when they still do the picture-in-picture thing, but still, that's not good enough for me. I mean, plus, it just makes the screen smaller, amongst other things that they have small with them. And I'm looking
True.
at Vince McMahon, but, you know. Number 2.
I'm down here, damn it!
Number 2, enough with giving the part-timers the main event spotlight and give it to the current roster that work harder. This has been an issue since the beginning of 2011, because ever since The Rock returned, a lot of wrestlers haven't been given much equal opportunity to be in the main event or become world champion. And especially since before the second brand extension, which I will get to in a few moments. But the point is that Vince McMahon has been putting too much investment on the nostalgia and not to the future of the industry that works on a daily basis.
Well, again, that also goes to the misuse the talents part, because he hasn't created any new stars to fill those spots anyway. So that's Vince's fault. Like, he doesn't know what else to do besides just part-timer in here because, I haven't made any new stars. Oh, people come to see this person. So, like, that leads back to the whole misuse the talent problem, not building up any new stars. It's like, who else does he have?
Number 3, and this is something I think some people might, agree with me on one thing. Number 3, give the talent creative freedom to do what with their characters and in the ring, but not creative control. There's been too much forced gimmicks and forced spots that make certain wrestlers not really memorable, even when they've been put in a position where they are in front of a large audience, which is why the creative team, Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard, have done a horrendous job of developing who could be a memorable mid-card wrestler and a top main event superstar that could carry the company, to the next decade. Which is why, if they can only book with who should win and lose by letting, the ones who are booked in a match or segment and not to make modifications whatsoever, the programming can be more watchable and the ratings can hopefully rise to where it's supposed to be. Hopefully. The emphasis on that word, too.
Either way, get more big guys, get out of the PG thing. That will help.
Number 4, change the time format for... And now listen to this, guys. Number 4 is change the time format for WWE main event from 1 hour to 2 hours. Now, I know me saying that sounds crazy, but hear me out. Because I've been watching WWE main event and basically, put it is good, but not great. The reason for it is because, granted, it's a C show, yet there lies the problem, because it's showcasing only 2 matches, and a majority of the program is highlights of segments and matches from Raw and SmackDown, which has to stop. Because there is a bunch of talent that barely get booked for a match on Raw or SmackDown, plus it's taped before, Raw, and SmackDown doesn't have any tapings before their show. Or after. It's only dark matches. Which is why if WWE wants to keep a majority of their roster, they need to step it up for their minor show to showcase more than 2 matches and less focus on highlights throughout the hour that eats up too much time on WWE main event. Number 5, have Raw, main event, and SmackDown the shows. And with main event championship matches, except world and women's title matches. It's clear if they're not going to change the time format for Raw from 3 hours back to 2 hours, then the least they could do is close their flagship program with a championship match, but not a world title or women's title. You know, it should be reserved for pay-per-view events only. The only titles that should be defended should be the following: United States Championship, Tag Team Championship, Women's Tag Team Championship, and the Intercontinental Championship, which again I will get to later, just like I said about the second brand extension. Because WWE needs to showcase fighting champions for lower card wrestlers and give people a reason to watch the product, because you never know what's going to happen, which brings out the brilliance of great wrestling TV. Number 6, and I think we're all in agreement with this one. You ready? Number 6, no more special television events in Saudi Arabia. It's becoming problematic for the WWE ever since Vince McMahon signed a deal with Saudi Arabia, because the heat over there is god-awful, and the women are forced to wear heavier clothing, plus the need to showcase wrestlers who don't need to be wrestling anymore, such as the case being like the main event of Crown Jewel 2008, where D-Generation X defeated the Brothers of Destruction, which became the worst worked match of the year of 2018, and the main event of Super Showdown of 2019, where Undertaker... Huh?
You said 2008.
I said 2018.
No,
No, you said 2008.
Oh. Thank you. Screw you. Now shut up.
No thanks.
And the main event of Super Showdown 2019, where The Undertaker defeated Goldberg, which was 15 years too late for them to, face each other. Not to mention the events themselves become so boring. Some of the matches end up too short or too early to end. And the wrestlers you expect to be there don't show up due to the culture differences that are too extreme. Number 7. Now, this is what I was talking about, when it comes to 205. Remember what I was talking about earlier? Check this out and, hear me out. Ready? Number 7, turn 205 into a legit brand for itself, give it a better time slot, no more highlights from main programs, and have the wrestlers that, are legit under 205 pounds to compete on the show. There have been times where the weight has been over-exaggerated for the cruiserweight division, plus it shouldn't be just an exclusive brand. Instead, it should also be a show where anyone, and I mean anyone, that is under the 205-pound weight limit should compete on the program. Also, if it's going to be a brand and showcase a lot of wrestlers within the cruiserweight environment, then at least, treat it as such with its own tag team championship and television championship, which sounds crazy, but this is what ECW should have done when it was revived back in 2006. And another thing that should be pointed out is that the cruiserweight championship should not be exclusive to NXT. Instead, it should be exclusive to the 205 brand in and of itself. One more thing that should be noted is that the 205 Live should now be known as WWE Saturday Night 205, because it's clearly obvious it's not live anymore. It's just taped. And, and give it like 1 hour or 2 hours of television on either USA, Sci-Fi, or Fox, because it would benefit both WWE and the cruiserweight brand of 205. Plus, there's rarely any weekly wrestling programmings on Saturday night on national television, and it could help keep the loyal, WWE fan, to keep on watching. Number 8, change the monthly pay-per-view event format from 4 hours back to 3 hours, except for Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, and Survivor Series. Ever since 2018, the WWE killed off the brand-exclusive pay-per-view events after Fastlane 2018, and since then, it hasn't had much progress whatsoever. Not to mention the pay-per-view events are too long, where to which, there's barely any title matches to take place, and that WWE needs to, do this, to make a few changes with that. WWE needs to revert back to 3 hours for their pay-per-view events, with the exception of the Big Four pay-per-view events, as I just mentioned. And that way, better storytelling is seen, match interest is built properly, and stars can be showcased the right way. Hang on a second. Right there. All right. Number 9. This is actually pretty good in and of itself, because I was just, thinking about SmackDown, when we were talking. Number 9, have the broadcast team for commentary be only 2 people and not 3. With the exception for main event, NXT UK, SmackDown, and 205, Raw and NXT needs to only have 2 people at the commentary table and not 3, because it gets a bit annoying to wonder who's speaking and who's not. Plus, it's better to assign your broadcast team on shows they're not on and not be showcased twice a week. SmackDown does a better job, as there's only 2 men, on that show doing commentary, but doesn't show up on other shows pulling double duty, and that should be seen as an example of what needs to change with the broadcast team on Raw and NXT.
I like McAfee on SmackDown when Shinsuke comes out.
I've gotten used to it, to be honest with you. I mean, as much as I didn't like McAfee competing, I kind of like him, behind the commentary table.
Yeah, me too. I agree.
J-Man's got his list, but he doesn't have his big eagle belt with him.
I'll showcase it soon. You just wait. Number 10.
And I'll get my money in the bank briefcase.
Yes, that too. I should buy one already. Goddamn.
I have the blue one. I want to get the gold one and the green one.
Here's the 10. Here's number 10. Okay, guys. The number 10, break away from Peacock and bring back the WWE Network streaming service. Ever since the WWE Network merged with Peacock, some moments have faded like if it were going to a commercial, and it's annoying. Not to mention that the whole political process, because NBC Universal, like a lot of television distributors, are being very heavily into cancel culture mentality and censoring moments that can look legitimately badass and protect the younger demographic audience, so families won't be too offended.
But hurt.
Before merging with Peacock,
they changed the Titantron music or the entrances.
I'm not done yet.
Go ahead.
Before merging with Peacock, WWE Network alone was about to have almost all the wrestling programs of former WWE shows and defunct wrestling organizations like WCW. They were doing fine for 7 years since its opening the night after Elimination Chamber 2014. Even if McMahon made this decision to get more money from NBC Universal, there was never a need to merge. If they wanted to broadcast live pay-per-view events exclusively on Peacock, then they could give the replay of their recent event on a Saturday of the same week. It's not that hard.
Spectral in the chat saying Peacock is only in the U.S. Isn't it? No, it should be more than the U.S.
No, it should be everywhere because it's NBC. I think NBC is universal.
Yes.
It's universally everywhere, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. With Peacock, though, I've been watching WWE Raw from 2002. Well, back and forth, SmackDown and Raw, because you see different stuff in the Undisputed Champion going back and forth. I just started with that because you can go back and watch those shows from back in the day. I just started with the 2002 and just went from there.
There's only one more thing I need to add right here. You ready?
Go ahead.
Finally, number 11. End the second brand extension and have only one world champion in the WWE. Remember when I said that I would talk about this, plus I mentioned the Intercontinental Championship that's from SmackDown being one of many titles to be defended on Raw? Now you're about to know why. Because this brand extension has gone on for way too long and is not run on the same fumes as its predecessor, which brings to question as to if they wanted to keep it going, why end it on August 29th, 2011, on Monday Night Raw. Granted, the second brand extension has brought out, great Universal champions such as Finn Balor, Kevin Owens, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, The Fiend, and Braun Strowman, but the championship lost credibility and prestige the moment it was given to part-timers like Goldberg and Brock Lesnar. Plus, since WWE has legit competition with AEW, there is no point to continue with the whole SmackDown versus Raw brand warfare, and it's time to showcase only one world champion. One world champion to represent the company, because if WWE expects to survive through the 2020s, then they need to step up their game and be one brand in of itself.
I'm going to say this. If he comes back with a title, I'm going to freak out.
But that's all there is to it. So, what are your thoughts on what I had?
I think those are all valid and great things, to be honest with you. Not blowing smoke. That's actually, I agreed with every single thing. I think that there should be. I think they should do commercials not during the matches. I agreed with that because I don't know how many times we come back from a commercial. It's like, oh my god, something happened during the commercial. We're going to show you this replay. You know what I mean? So I think that they should do that during in between the matches. But then again, if they do it in between matches, then the matches should just be a little bit shorter because there's a lot of breaks in between matches. So you would think that there'd be a lot of commercials. But the only way the having one world champion would work is if they bounce between both shows like they used to back in the day until they introduce the world heavyweight title on Raw, because Triple H didn't want to go to SmackDown to defend. No, Brock Lesnar didn't want to go to Raw to defend the championship against Triple H. So they gave Triple H the big gold. So that would have to be what they would have to do. They would have to defend that world title on both shows, and even sometimes maybe have to do a triple threat match for that title. Sometimes here and there, but it would be interesting to see.
Did you see? Did you hear me read my final, thing, number 11, Zach?
Yeah.
He came back with another title. Fuck a doodle do.
Well, what's your thoughts for what I had to read out?
Well, with that last one, I think they definitely got to go with that because, just stick with the WWE Championship for both shows. Having the Universal title, even its booking alone, it took until even Roman Reigns had his title run for that belt to regain any credibility. Even at this point, people still don't give a shit about that belt because, you look at the sketchy history, and it's not really doing either shows really much of any favors. And really, when you think of a top world title, you think of the WWE Championship. So it's even if you have to have the champion jump back and forth, between both shows, you got to do what you got to do because, you don't really need one top person per, each show, individually.
Plus, there's also to the fact that I even said that it should only be one main roster altogether and not two separate brands because what's the point of a brand extension if you've already got competition, and you have a majority of your roster possibly jumping to AEW?
And plus, you barely got a roster left right now. Look what limited roster they might have for WWE 2K22 coming up.
That, and look at the roster that they have right now, and they're still planning on making cuts sometime in the next couple of months, from what I'm hearing. Gargano's contract is expiring in December. Kevin Owens, I think, is either October or November. You lose Kevin Owens, he's going to AEW. Hello, Kevin Steen.
But what about the other 10 things that they need changing? That I also said, Zach. The 11 one you got for, but the other 10, what else about that mean?
Well, also one thing I think I can also add, at least with the pay-per-views, stop having themed pay-per-views as well, because even though we're guaranteed certain matches to even happen, with Hell in a Cell, TLC, and everything, they're not always required. Because that also kind of ties in also with the women's stuff that I mentioned earlier. Just because you have a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view doesn't mean that you need certain matches to happen inside Hell in a Cell, or you don't always need a TLC match for every specific championship. You're just watering down or bastardizing the concept if you're having it as a specific theme every single year. Have Hell in a Cell at a WrestleMania or SummerSlam or something. You don't need a specific one for a theme pay-per-view every single year. So that could be another change.
Yeah.
Spectral says just unify both belts and create another undisputed championship.
I will admit they did.
Like this?
How they upgraded the United States title, though. It does look pretty good.
I like the old one better because it was last living remnant of my childhood. So you be quiet.
I still like it.
I wouldn't mind if they went back to the. I wouldn't mind if they went back to the 2002-2003 undisputed championship. I like that design, but I wouldn't be opposed if they unified both the Universal and WWE championship. I wouldn't even mind if they bring back the big gold. To be honest with you, I love the fuck out of that title. So I mean, I wouldn't mind if they brought back the big old.
Jericho.
It's Le
I am
Champion.
the Ayatollah of Coca-Cola.
Double Z, are any of your belts on real leather, or are they all just simulated straps?
They're on whatever ones they came from WWE's website. I'm not kidding. Anything re-leathered.
Oh, you should. At least on your
Well,
paper.
maybe I will for my spinner belt at some point because it's getting a little tattered.
Yeah. Put on a real leather strap. They're
Yeah, leather strap on.
Either way,
feel great.
Chase, what's your thoughts on the list I showcased?
One of the things that got me thinking was the amount of what, like, pay-per-views. You said, 3 hours. Shows, definitely 2 hours. I don't know where this thing is coming from. Apparently, they're gonna raise it to 4 hours, like Monday Night Raw for 4 hours. I don't think
Please no.
No, God.
That's not going to help the ratings at all. Nobody can sit through a 4-hour show like that.
3 hours
That's
is bad.
suicide. That is suicide if they do that.
Back to 2 hours or even an hour. Like, we got a freaking AEW Rampage. It's only for an hour, but we like it.
Do you see why I always do Rampage, live reactions? Because it's under 1 hour.
Yeah.
Like 3 hours can be understandable for Raw if it's a special occasion, like a specialty show. But 2 hours would be the normal one because nobody wants to sit through a 3-hour show every single week. Look at WrestleMania 35. That show went way too long to the point where the crowd was burned out because that was too much wrestling to sit through all in one sitting. You sit through that all the time, you're going to go mad.
Over 8 hours and shit, and then they did make the Brock Lesnar Seth Rollins the first match. That's one thing, but then the women's.
Wait, you know what? You know what? I actually agree with that one right there. Create something similar like the Champion of Champions belt from WWE SVR 2010.
I'm not gonna lie, I have to look that up.
Or
you know what? Okay, I got a challenge for any of you guys of belt designers. I want to see someone actually make a life, like a real life, creation of the Champion of Champions belt in its entirety, looking with the SmackDown, Raw, and ECW type, in the plate. I give a challenge to any belt designer to try and create that belt of the Champions of Champions belt effective right now to see if anybody's going to do it good. Because I would love to see that as the world championship in WWE, even if it's modified.
I know one belt I saw they showed on TV once that I wouldn't mind them using. That Andre 87 belt that they showcased once on Piper's Pit. It was like in case Andre ever won it from Hogan in WrestleMania 3. It was this huge freaking belt. I think they might have it on Foundu Belt's website. I would love to see that used as representation because it was a one-off belt, but why not use that design for once?
Oh, so basically, that belt kind of looked like the Andre the Giant belt, but it had the SmackDown, Raw, and ECW logo on the top, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think so. I'm trying to remember. I haven't seen the Champion of Champions belt in a long time.
It would really be nice though, just to walk
turn on SmackDown versus Raw 2010, and then you'll see.
Yeah. I would like though just to walk up to Vince and say, "Hey man, can't you please bring this title back? Just give us some kind of small opinion. Bring back the big gold. This Universal. I'll admit the blue Universal looks better than that red one, but still. Why do the belts have to look the same?"
Yeah, I agree.
Well, Brandon, what's your thoughts on what I had to say about my list?
I have to agree with everything you said. The one thing I got to say about the pay-per-views, stop having fucking pre-shows for every fucking pay-per-view.
Oh my God. Amen to that one. I agree. Because the kickoff shows, I'm going to say this right now. Bring back Sunday Night Heat.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And make it have a meaning instead of what we had once, around the Ruthless Aggression era going onwards, where it was just a thrown together show with no storyline progressions.
It's kind of like Saturday Morning Superstars.
Oh, you mean Saturday Morning Slam?
Oh.
No, there was back in the day. I'm talking about during the 90s.
Oh,
Saturday morning, you had Saturday morning.
The Superstars of Wrestling program. You're talking about that one.
No, there was a show on Saturday morning in WWE. It was like during the mid to late 90s. There was Saturday morning Superstars, and then on Sunday there was Live Wire. And they recapped everything that happened during the week.
Yeah, I remember Superstars at first was like almost like the C show for like jobber stuff, and then it became more like the weekly recap show up until like 2001. I still have a ton of those episodes on my computer right now.
I know when I go on YouTube, if I look for a certain match or something, I still see your intro, Double Z.
Ah, you mean that custom one that's kind of glitchy?
With the spinner bell and all that? Yeah.
Hey, I put good freaking effort. I had to go through an entire video tutorial on how to put that through After Effects.
The last one I saw involving a video of yours was the one of Stone Cold walking out. That was recent. It's still there.
Stone Cold walking out one?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I clicked on a video of Stone Cold apparently during when he walked out of WWE, and on the beginning of it was your intro, your Double Z WWE spinner thing.
So
Stone Cold walking out.
Matter of fact, I can find it right now.
I'm trying to remember which one you're talking about. Like, it's hard for me to even remember what I freaking posted at this point, because just about everything I try to repost on Double Z WWE keeps getting blocked out of nowhere. That was fine the last time I had the damn channel. And also, hey, YouTube, thank you for finally taking a break from constantly emailing me, telling me my old Double Z WWE channel got terminated, because you guys have been reminding me nonstop for the last year and a half.
Here, it's right here.
Wait,
It's this one.
Is everything okay with your channel now?
Well, oh, you mean compared to what happened last week?
It's in the private chat. You can check. It's that video right there. You click on it, and you'll see the intro pop up. You don't have to play the video. You can just show the
Privacy
intro.
complaints.
Well,
let me see what video this is.
But either way.
Somebody oh, that son of a... Somebody re-uploaded that from my old Double ZWE channel back when I used to upload WWE Confidential episodes.
You remember that?
Yeah.
Well, the reason why they took you down was because they're supposed to be confidential.
No. It wasn't even WWE that did that. It was a third party.
I know, it's
company.
a pun. It's a pun.
It's like, I hate having to even relive that time period.
Now I feel like an asshole.
Well, yeah, you are.
I try to be nice, but I get used and hurt too much, so I have to be an asshole from now on.
So Brandon, you were gonna follow something up with what JMAN's list?
Basically, that was it.
Okay. Oh man.
I just got one thing to say about my list, and that is that's just how I am with regards to what needs to be changed within WWE, and hopefully they can fix themselves. Now I know someone said they may disagree with the no longer doing the brand extension, but here's the deal, like that's the beauty of it, because the fact is it's already run its course, and on top of that they have competition now, like legit competition that's not even their own product. It's AEW. And people are going to AEW, and that just gives the opportunity to watch one of your favorite wrestlers, whether they're from WWE or from or from somewhere else like ROH or something. And there you go, competition. I mean, what's the point in keeping a competitive brand warfare if you're losing too many people as it is, and you're losing them to the competition?
True.
You think Seth Rollins or Roman Reigns would want to try to go to AEW?
Oh my. Okay. Well, there's one thing I'm gonna have to say though. I mean, Roman Reigns, I could probably imagine, but as far as Seth Rollins, I highly doubt that, because let's face facts. If he's willing to kiss up to the WWE so many times and almost like try to make himself make the company look better and make Dean Ambrose look like crap, then I'm sorry, he's probably going to be staying there with WWE for a long time.
What do you think of his feud right now with Edge?
Yeah, and they're actually doing good with him and Edge. Not gonna lie. Either way, like I said, I know some people could disagree with me about no longer doing the brand split, but still, that's just my opinion. I mean, my opinion's not gospel. I'm just, pointing it out because plus what's the point of it continuing?
True. I mean, the thing is that if they're gonna, what they need to do is if they're going to do away with the brand extension, it's got to go back to how SmackDown and Raw used to be back in the back when SmackDown first started, where some of the feuds would carry over into SmackDown, but they also need to utilize their time to help build other stars.
Yes.
Because that's what WWE is failing to do right now, is that they're focusing on the now, and they're not focusing on when guys like John Cena are no longer around. Guys like Seth Rollins, Edge finally hangs it up. There's not going to be no Undertaker or Brock Lesnar or The Rock. You know what I mean? Like, they're not focusing on that. They're focusing on what they can do now and that's the sad thing about it, because no one. Granted, people are watching and caring about what they're seeing now, but they're also worried about what they're going to see in the future. Because, yeah, it's cool. You're gonna bring the Rock in, but what's going to happen after the Rock is gone? After that, however brief period he's there, like when they do the match with Roman and Rock at Mania, it's going to be great on paper. It's going to sell. It's going to be a money match, but it goes back to what CM Punk used to say. What is it going to do after? What's going to happen after? You know what I mean? And that's what WWE doesn't focus on. They're not focusing on the future. They're focusing on right now. And right now, they have legitimate competition. They have a company that is about pro wrestling. And fans are getting ignited and getting fueled up for pro wrestling again. Not sports entertainment, pro wrestling. You still have ROH, but ROH still focuses on pro wrestling. Pro Wrestling Guerrilla is still about pro wrestling. You have
New Japan.
Impact. New Japan is still about pro wrestling. You have Impact about wrestling, pro wrestling.
Nobody watches Impact that much.
But again, you have all these companies, and WWE is still about the sports entertainment. You need to do away with that. You need to go back to what it is, it was.
Wrestling is all about bringing the entertainment to us, but at the same time, this ain't no picnic here. You got to realize that even with entertainment, you have to have the wrestling, part of it, or otherwise, what's the point in you having a wrestling company if you're not producing said professional wrestling to help your quote unquote sports entertainment?
But now, I just remembered something. Like, we keep talking about the fact that WWE suffers to make new stars. An example I just thought of, if we're a case of them not really getting ready for the future, look back in 1993. Before WrestleMania, the first new true main event star they finally made at that point was Bret Hart. And all of a sudden, they put the title back on Hogan. And then what did they do once Hogan left? They tried to force Lex Luger as their new top babyface just out of nowhere. And it utterly bombed, because one moment he's the narcissist, looking at himself in the reflection, and Bobby Heenan's watching it, jacking off. And the next thing you know, all of a sudden, he's made in the USA. And it's just it bombed so hard because they didn't try to build him up properly or anything. They just forced it out there. And then you put Bret on the back burner when he was trying to fill out that gap for when Hogan was gone and everything. It's that was another case. They just bum rushed something instead of letting things progress or try to do something instead of just being okay, let's just throw shit at the wall and see what sticks.
I mean, granted, you can do a main event push with someone being, patriotic, which is easy, to say the least. But at the same time, you need the proper build-up and the proper, belief within the character instead of it being shoved in your face. Now, granted,
it's just a drastic change because it was out of panic.
I do agree with Joe on one thing when he said that, the Fiend was shoved down our throats, because there's one thing I did notice, every time, we saw a lot of that, Firefly Funhouse. I mean, sure, it was entertaining, but then again, we didn't see much come out of it, especially when there was a main event push that should have been, ushered in for Bray, being the Fiend. So it was already like, at this point more repetitive than it was, progressive, not the insurance, thing, but
I agree with Spectral in the chat. He says most of WWE's roster today aren't draws. I do agree with that but that's WWE's fault.
But that's because, that is WWE's fault, and fans haven't really gained interest to, to want to come to the arenas and watch them. That and that's the whole reason why. If you don't have interest in a wrestler, then what's the point in going into an arena to watch, said wrestling if you don't know who they are and if they're that interesting?
Exactly. Like, I want to go,
people would have been drawn into the buildings even more if Drew McIntyre was still champion.
Like, I want to go, I think it's in in November. I think it's in November. SmackDown's going to be here in my state, and I want to go because it's only like a 25-minute drive from me to where they're going to be. And I want to go because I want to experience a live wrestling show. I haven't been to a live wrestling since 2019 when I went to Money in the Bank, and that experience was amazing. And I loved every second of it, even though that the pay-per-view overall might not have been good, but I still loved it because I was there.
I know what Zach is pointing to.
Well, Ulysses, why are you doing that messed up picture of Tom? I still remember seeing that stream that came from. Why?
Wait, you saw my stream last night?
I've seen one of the streams. It was either on yours or it was it might have been ZTB's stream where Tom was just goofing around the whole time, like morphing his face and everything.
To be honest with you, that one was from last night.
Because I remember seeing him do that, like I think last week.
But yeah, I definitely
right now if you want me to.
Like that's an image that nightmares are made out of.
No,
that's the last image you see. That's another one. That's the last image you see before death.
Oh my God! By the way, you know where he's getting those from? He's getting them from my mom.
Shout out to Mama Bear. J-Man, your mom is the best.
I know.
So yeah, it's like I want to go so bad, but it's just like I'm looking at the prices and I'm like, yo, what I paid for I when I went to Money in the Bank, I paid $80 for I paid $84 a piece, and I was in the lower upper level, and I was looking directly straight toward. I was looking on an angle, but I was perfectly leveled with the ring. Those tickets now are going for $160 a piece. Why? I don't know.
Well, it's obvious because of the the money that they were also losing during the pandemic, and and plus they have been losing money even before that. But at the end of the day, they have to realize if you don't lower your prices, then you're not going to get a lot of people coming to the events, and all you're going to have is just a bunch of marks and shills for your company. But that's all you'll have, just shills, not real fans to come to a wrestling event.
A lot of things, like prices have dropped because of the pandemic. Even if you want to fly somewhere, the freaking things are cheap as hell.
Like, take it like this way. Like if you were to go to say AEW, I think the price would be a little bit lowered a little bit.
Oh.
No,
bro.
Actually, I mean, you never know. You never know.
Because I remember I've been to like one WWE show. I remember that being like late 2014. I think the tickets cost me around $100 each. We were still more in the regular rafters, almost like ground level, kind of going down a little bit. That cost me around $100 each for tickets.
Which one was it? Can you tell me what match you saw? Like
I remember it was December 16, 2014. Because it was like that was the night Roman Reigns came back and he went and like squashed Fandango. Dolph Ziggler and Seth Rollins main evented. I remember Rusev attacked Ryback. Naomi had the Divas Championship match against Nikki Bella.
Can we see you on TV in the crowd?
I saw myself in the crowd when I watched it back on TV afterwards.
Can you show like a screenshot or show a small clip of it?
I think I've got the picture on social media.
You can share.
Let me check Facebook because I know I went back because I found the picture and everything.
I know I've been a bit of a
let me,
lazy ass on. Does anyone know anything about the WrestleMania tickets if they come out yet, or know the prices of those, or if they're going to be more or less because of the pandemic?
Well, because of the pandemic, I think they probably, made sure the attendance would be lowered because of, the whole Delta problem. And plus, there's not a lot of, flight going in from, internationally because of said COVID.
It'll be in WrestleMania will be in Houston, so I do plan on going. I just need to know when the tickets come out so I can buy my tickets.
Have you ever noticed that WrestleMania has not once been in South Carolina?
Because you're there, that's why.
Oh, well, in that case, I mean, like,
look at this right
What's
here. This is for AEW's Flushing show next week at Arthur Ashe Stadium. Look at this. Ringside seats, $762.
Wait, where is this?
This is the tennis stadium in
For what event?
This is for AEW next Wednesday night. This coming Wednesday. Look, $762. Then you come over to here, $609, $1,089.
To be that close up to the ring?
And look at how much the ticket prices are going for the lower level. $416, $498. Like that's just for this show. I think I have a feeling it's only because they're promoting it as a big show. But yeah, those tickets are going crazy. And mind you, this is a discount website where I got my tickets for Money in the Bank.
Oh.
Goodseattickets.com. So yeah, it's a lot of money. Look, they want $119 for section 330. They can stay right there. I'll wait for them to go somewhere else.
Where is this at? Like, what city is
this? This is Arthur Ashe Stadium in Flushing, New York. This is right across the street from Citi Field where the Mets play.
Oh, okay.
It's a tennis stadium. Yeah, those tickets are crazy priced. I want to go, but I'm not going to pay that money. Those are WrestleMania prices, bro. Like, legit.
Is WrestleMania tickets out yet, or are they still on?
No, they usually, I think around Survivor Series, they start showing the advertisements that they're going on sale soon. And I think like right around Christmas, they put out the, well, I'm not mistaken, I think they put out the travel packages.
I still want to buy my tickets, so I plan to go in, yes.
Where they're going to be in Dallas next year, right? Houston?
Yes, I'm not far. I'll give it a try. Like, I hope I have a good time. I'll do some shopping there, and
I've been to countless Raws. I've been to one WCW show, and that was the night Ultimate Warrior debuted in WCW on Nitro. Huh?
Did you enjoy that night?
Oh yeah, I was a little kid. I enjoyed the fuck out of it, even though that I wasn't a big WCW guy, when I was a kid, but I still went because it was wrestling. And I watched it on TV and stuff like that too. So
about time J-Man showed his belt. That's the one on that's the one on real leather, right?
You ain't the only one that's got that one, J-Man.
Your mic's muted, bro. You're not.
Well, YouTube's trying to censor me. Does it have this thing right here?
WWF? Oh, shoot.
Oh.
You had to
get your side plates replaced with that one.
This is actually the one they were using, like, when they updated it a little bit during the Attitude Era, And as you notice with the logo right here, as you can see on the middle, it's a little white looking, if you could see it, and not gold.
Oh, so you got a different one compared to me.
Yeah. And besides, where'd you get that one from?
Bought on eBay.
Well, this one
of my friends noticed secondhand wrestling was offering to sell it to me because I couldn't buy directly to him.
Let me tell you something. This one right here was custom made.
Yeah, no wonder, because mine Right on the back it says officially licensed WWF product figure toys company with the address and everything on the back of the center plate.
Well, mine doesn't. I mean, it's leathered in the back. I don't think there was a logo in the when they were making the leather for this belt, but this is real leather right here. I think they were using this. It's the same leather that was used, when people like Rock, Triple H, and Kurt Angle and Stone Cold, wore it, and even Jericho.
Any of you guys willing to go to WrestleMania next year?
No.
To be honest with you,
Nah, I'll wait. I'll wait for it to come to Florida.
If WrestleMania ever came to South Carolina, my dad has once said that we would go there. But the thing is, I mean, I can't remember the last time WWE ever came around for a pay-per-view. The only time they did was back in '96, I think, during the In Your House shows, which is kind of saddening when you think about it.
Yeah.
Oh my! So I think we're gonna get into the closing moments of the stream. Anyone want to? Is there anything anyone wants to share or add?
I'm trying to share my screen because I was trying to show the image from my side.
I know there's a website. I can't remember what website it is that you can actually get that 6th plate or that 5th plate from Zach. The property of WWF logo.
This plate.
Over here, try to show my screen on there. I'm trying to screen share a second an image on here.
Yep.
You're talking about the one that I have, right?
Okay. Wait, what?
Right within that blue circle, I'll have to send it to you guys, but right there within that blue circle was when I went on SmackDown December 16, 2014, back when I still had that toy spinner belt rather than the replica one that I got still here on my bed.
See, I can't really see squat for that.
I'll have to show it. I'll have to send it to you. But also, speaking of that toy spinner belt that I've had since my early YouTube days, I still have it as we speak.
On this day, Unforgiven 2005.
No, Double Z doesn't have the toy big goal because he destroyed the hell out of it.
By the way, the 5th plate you're wanting, I mean, this was made for the belt in and of itself. I mean, when the one you got off of eBay, it wasn't made to have that. I mean, that's the belt that I think that was worn by The Rock, Austin, Undertaker, and Mankind, and Triple H a little bit, and Big Show, and Vince McMahon. But the one I got,
This right here, this is the exact toy spinner belt that I had for the first 5 years of my time on YouTube. Not the one that I smashed in a video on my old YouTube channel. That was a second one that I bought on eBay just for the Destruction series. This is the exact one that I also took this one to that episode of SmackDown back in 2014 before I eventually upgraded to the replica.
That toy one, though, that thing has a clicker. It stops when you spin it, right?
No, because there's nothing on the back middle plate of it.
Okay, I thought the toys had it to where there was a clicker thing and it'll stop eventually or something. It doesn't have
not as far as I know. But this one, I made a promise to never destroy this one because this was back in my old YouTube history days.
Give that to your son one day.
I don't plan on having kids, remember?
Oh.
It involves sex first.
Well,
consensual sex.
Oh, well,
wait, what did he just publicly admit on my live stream? What the fuck?
I don't see Double Z always gonna tie a woman to the bed and all that shit. But I mean,
I know what you did there. Oh man.
No, I'm saying the fact of with Double Z.
Hey, Zach, you got some skeletons in your closet.
Wait for it. He's coming out of the closet.
Don't even. No. Coming out of the closet.
I just did.
I knew it.
He's coming out of the closet.
Wait. What? I didn't hear that.
Up yours.
Up. You wish.
Hell no. But I eventually upgraded from that toy spinner belt up to the real deal, damn it. and I don't care how badly this thing is freaking wearing on my shoulders, this thing is going to the grave with me, guaranteed.
Get the version 2. It's a lot better looking. It's more gold, more realistic.
I spent good money on this thing, dude. This belt is my legacy.
I know why you
I can't
also
say on my show I'm the champ without this motherfucker.
Well, I do know one thing, that in regards to one of the pictures of the thumbnail, like when you're holding both the ECW championship and the WWE championship, like that one, I know why you do that, because it reminds you of RVD doing the exact same thing. You know, like,
No.
I'm keeping this one and look at, and I mean, I like this one. Check it out. It spins.
That wasn't even anything to do with that. I remember that image that came from me. That was when I met Joey Ryan at a house show. I had both those belts like a prior show, like after that, because I thought I was going to see Sabu again, because he was supposed to appear in an indie show. Yet for some reason he didn't make it. So I brought the spinner belt and the ECW championship to that show for nothing.
And in that picture, he has his hand like
you would have
this.
reminded him.
What were you trying to do?
I don't even know.
You would have reminded Sabu of RVD during ECW's revival, only it was WWE but with different letters.
I'm just glad Joey Ryan didn't ask me to grab his dick and try to flip me or anything.
On this day, WWE Unforgiven 2005 Thoughts Too Sweet Wrestling Podcast.
You know what? If you know, on this day, you know what? I might sing that one, in the next 2 weeks, if there is another next 2 weeks.
I don't get it.
Don't you know what I mean? Like, on this day, I see clearly.
Oh yeah. For
Edge theme song.
Yeah. I honestly don't remember Unforgiven 2005 that much. I really don't remember.
Here's one thing I remember about it.
You got Cena, Kurt Angle, Matt Hardy, Edge in the steel cage match.
Now that one was match of the night.
I mostly just remember the Kane versus Edge, and then Triple H and Batista.
No, Kane Edge did not happen.
No way with that.
That was Edge, Matt Hardy in the steel cage match.
Oh no.
That was the steel cage match, with Matt Hardy and Edge, like because of the love triangle,
Because, like, you had that, you had Big Show Snitsky. I think you had Carlito and Ric Flair.
Right?
I think you had Carlito, Ric Flair that night, because that was when Ric Flair won the Intercontinental Championship during that run.
Kane versus Edge, that was on Backlash, wasn't it? It was Backlash?
Yeah, that was earlier that year.
Wait,
and Vengeance.
No. You're talking about, Backlash 2004 had Edge versus Kane, but 2005 Edge versus Chris Benoit.
Because Backlash 2005, that was Kane versus Viscera.
Okay.
But it was Vengeance when we saw Kane and Edge.
Wait, which pay-per-view?
The Vengeance 2005, that was Kane and Edge.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We're talking about Vengeance 2005.
No, we're talking about Unforgiven 2005.
Oh, never mind. I forgot.
I can't remember anything else from Unforgiven 2005 outside of the matches I mentioned.
Yeah, Fernando's right in the chat. He's right. I'm old.
Old as fuck.
Definitely.
Or I might die tonight. Who knows?
Oh, don't say that. Seriously, what's your
hardcore sex? Hardcore sex.
What's your safe word? I don't know why that just popped in my head. I was watching that video before the stream.
Text back.
You know what I think? I think what we should do for 2 weeks' time, the four of us should, review pay-per-views like this is how you remember the big three back in the 90s and all the way up to 2001, right? ECW, WCW, WWF.
You said four of us? Which four?
I'm talking the four of us, like the panel of, us.
There's five of us.
I said the reason why I said four is because we don't know, because Brandon won't be here next week.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm saying
before we get into that, Brandon's always welcome if he wants to be a part.
Oh yeah. If he's got the time,
Yeah. So you were saying?
But anyway, yeah, if he's got the time, I'm not trying to, keep him off here. I'm just, simply pointing out, if it's going to still be the four of us, but then if we want to upgrade to five, that'd be great too.
It look,
Yeah, I'm still
legit.
watching.
Right now, it legit looks like you're staring at Brendan. Like, what are you doing over there?
No, it was no. It's never mind. It's don't worry about it. It's someone being a distraction.
No, that's not
I
true.
know. I know something's real funny going on with certain streams. I mean, you don't think. Well, I'll check it out soon.
They're trying to look up close and
What I'm trying to say is before we close is that what if we did like a little thing where we review like pay-per-views of the big three companies back in the Attitude Era, like say we look at the first pay-per-views like ECW did in the same month, like with WCW did with Spring Stampede and the WWF did with In Your House, Revenge of the Taker, that kind of deal.
Oh yeah. Well, I was I was gonna do it off stream. I wanted to run it by you. I was thinking that sometime in one of the streams in October, being it Halloween, I was thinking we could review like one or two of the Halloween Havocs.
Yeah, I mean we can do that, but I was also thinking of an idea where we could also like all of us, we could review the 3 pay-per-views that would, be all in 1 month because ECW barely had a monthly pay-per-view thing like WWF and WCW back then. But that's just an idea.
I wish we can get away with it. I wish we could do a live review, like actually watch the pay-per-view and talk.
Well, no, I mean like that would be
I gotta get going,
problematic.
guys. I got visitation.
Have fun
all right.
fucking.
Don't forget to pull out.
I have been doing this for a while. I know what I'm doing.
All right, bro. Catch you later.
All right, but still. But this is what I have in mind, like in chronological order. To start off with the 3, is we watched Spring Stampede '97, then ECW Barely Legal, and then WWF In Your House, Revenge of the Taker. Because when you look at it, it's it's like in chronological order of when they were, live.
All right. So you're basically saying watch one pay-per-view after the other, and then in our next podcast, we all review it together.
And see which one was the better one of that month.
That would work. I just don't. I just found. I was not a big ECW guy, so for me, it would be kind of hard for me to get into ECW. For that, because I watched it at like Saturday morning at like 2:00 in the morning when I was growing up, but I was never like, oh my god, I have to watch it. Kind of like I was with WWE, like religiously. But it's definitely it's interesting. I'm definitely down to do it because I mean I don't know anything. It would be kind of like fresh for me because obviously I remember watching Revenge of the Taker. I don't remember the matches, but I remember watching it. And the WCW, I don't remember watching it. So like I said, like I didn't start watching. Like I didn't really start following WCW until like the NWO, but I didn't get to watch like every WCW pay-per-view. Which if they have it on the net, if they have it on Peacock, I'm down. I'll watch it. Shit.
Yeah. What do you think, Zach? You up for it?
As long as I got time to check them out, I can usually do that.
You got 2 weeks. It'll be no big deal.
Just depends on how work is.
Yeah, he might not be able to because of work. He might not be.
You don't have to watch them all at once. You can just watch them when you have like. Look, I'll give you a list of the pay-per-views to watch on Peacock, even though I wish it was still WWE Network, like I just put in my list a while ago. And then you'll know which one to watch in chronological order. That way you can build up.
Text it to the group so that way we know.
Yeah,
I'll forget what pay-per-views they were.
Yeah. And then when you have time to yourself, Zach, that's when you can like watch them. And then after that, you could do work, and then you'll be back here in the next, once the next podcast is.
I got to watch something that's not X-rated for once.
Zach.
The poor days of having a recent breakup and becoming single again. Wait a minute. That means he's single again. Yeah.
Starlet Bordeaux. My DMs are open.
He's got to give. He's got to give the sock a break.
Or
I mean,
Mr.
my cock like it
Jocko
owes me
break.
money.
No, he has to give Mr. Jocko a break. But anyway, I think we need we can close this out
Yep.
like this. If you like this, give it a thumbs up. If you missed your chance of live chat, feel free to go down below in the comment section, and also be sure to subscribe to EliteJC TV, and also that goes the same for Double Z TV, Brandon Martin, and yours truly JMANzLEGIT, and Chase 2850. And also hit the notification bell whenever we do a live stream or a video at all times. And with that all being said, God bless you all. Have a great night and stay healthy for an even better tomorrow. And remember, stay sweet.
Yes. So with that being said, the links for all socials and channels are down in the description box below. And like always, guys, thanks for checking us out and being too sweet, all elite. And we'll catch you in 2 weeks.